Hey, deserving listeners, this is number 6 in our monthly installments regarding using Dungeons & Dragons in therapy. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, I recommend doing so. If you're trying to find a page to find all the episodes we do on Dungeons & Dragons, go to our website, psychologyinseattle.com, and go to the Dungeons & Dragons tab page situation, and you can listen to all these in sequence. If this is the first one you're listening to, I'm guessing it'd be a little weird, honestly. But we're doing this because I am on the board of a nonprofit called Game to Grow, in which we use tabletop games such as Dungeons & Dragons for therapeutic uses, educational uses, bonding uses, community get-together uses, because as geeks ourselves, we know the power of these games, and they're really a very specific game experience. If you've been listening to this series and you've never played Dungeons & Dragons or similar games, you've realized that these sorts of games they're really like nothing else. People will say, oh, it's kind of like a video game, right? It's like, nope. There is no video game that is like Dungeons & Dragons. There are video games that try to emulate certain aspects of Dungeons & Dragons, but they can only, in my opinion, emulate like 0.1% of like what actually happens when you're playing real Dungeons & Dragons. Because real Dungeons & Dragons requires human beings in a room, improving. It'd sort of be like saying, well, isn't there like a video game that emulates improv comedy? Or isn't there a video game that emulates Martin Scorsese producing a movie? It's like, we all say, no, that's impossible. You can't.
Rock band is like being in a band and being a rock star.
Yeah, you can't have a video game that does that. It requires human artistry and improv and emotion and storytelling and options and adjusting and micro adjusting and so many different things. And for that reason, it lends itself to a lot of different uses, including therapy, which I hope to demonstrate to you today. We have our longtime dungeon master with us, Adam Johns.
Hello there.
Who is demonstrating Adam Johns and Adam Davis. They developed a method of using Dungeons & Dragons for this purpose that is quite unique and quite effective, and so let's get into it. What do you say? My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor, and I play a third-level cleric. Who are you, Berto?
My name is Humberto Castañeda, and I play Grollo the Cruel, who's a half-orc, a very intelligent being.
And he's in love with another half-orc named Cruddy.
Yes.
Cruddy the goat killer.
I mean, that's a nickname. That's not a real name.
Yeah.
It's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Cruddy.
Who are you, Adam?
My name is Adam Davis. I am playing Shoosh, a tiefling bard.
And my name is Adam Johns. Adam and I are the two executive directors for Game to Grow, and I am the dungeon master of this merry band of adventurers.
When does the Kickstarter start for Critical Core?
March 19th.
March 19th, so this episode will probably air before that. So a Critical Core, we've talked about it before, which is a physical box set of Dungeons & Dragons starter kit for using Dungeons & Dragons for therapeutic, educational, parenting, community usage. And once you get the kit and you listen to these episodes and maybe go to the Game to Grow website, you can actually pretty much start using it, particularly if you're a player. So do so now. Go to the Kickstarter, Critical Core Kickstarter.
Criticalcore.org.
Criticalcore.org.
Yeah.
And do that now, because I think it's going to be a wonderful product. We've been working a long time on it. Adam and Adam have been working a long time just developing the skill set and the approach and the explanation. They've been developing it for, 6-7 years or something. Long time.
It's close to 8 years.
Pretty much
now,
8 years
actually.
now.
8 years now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So this is the first physical product that they've put out. So after 8 years of refining this, you would imagine that it would be pretty good. And it arguably is the best product out there regarding this. So if you're going to look for something along these lines, go to criticalcore.org for more information. So what are we doing today, Adam?
What are we doing?
Actually, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah.
I have this watch on my desk to remind me something. A listener, Daniel Schabauer, who uses they as a pronoun, they sent in a picture that they drew. I sent you three the picture.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that picture for today's show pick. So if you're able to see the show picture that shows up when you see the podcast, that was drawn by Daniel Schabauer. They were listening to our Dungeons and Dragons episodes, and it inspired them to draw this picture.
By the way, it's an epic picture.
Yeah. I thought it would be like, a typical geek picture of like dungeon crawling or something,
right.
But it's more abstract.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super interesting.
But they said that it was totally inspiring to them, and they were they made the art while they were listening to the episode. So look at that now, and I might post it to Facebook and all the other places too.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll name an NPC after Daniel.
Ooh,
There you
cool.
go, Daniel. You can be in our game.
Yeah. All right, Adam Johns. Sorry.
So today, we've talked before about how in our groups, one important aspect of the groups is that we do a check-in question at the start and a checkout question at the end. We're going to do that as well in our game here. So my check-in question for all of you is, what is a personal goal in your life? And I'll extend that question a second part to that as, what is a personal goal for your character in their life? One of the things that these kinds of questions sometimes bring up in our group is the opportunity for challenge by choice. So we're on a podcast where we are presenting this. We're giving this to millions of people, right, Kirk? Millions.
That's right, millions.
Millions of people, and they are all enjoying and listening to this. And you may want to share lots about yourself. You may want to share not so much about yourself. I leave it to you to decide how much you want to put in, where you can set your goal to say, like, my goal is to eat fewer carbs, or you can say something like, my goal is to explore the challenges that I've had with my extended family where we don't get along. So there's lots of depth that you can choose here. And with your character, I encourage you to use this as an opportunity to think about, like, when your character makes decisions, what are their values? How do they make decisions to say this is a higher priority to them than this, because that's the goals that they're pursuing after. So who wants to start us off?
I'll start. I think it's an interesting question because as I think about the answer, I think about my character, because the first question is about my character, and I think like micro goals and macro goals. And I don't think I ever thought about this, and I don't think I would have initially until we role played these characters, was that for Thrain, I think his overarching goal, because he's a religious man, and you could just say, well, he's trying to spread his religion. Like that's what he's trying to do. And that's certainly something he's trying to do. But I think when you think about Moradin and dwarves and his character, I think more specifically what he's trying to do is spread the strength of Moradin. The strength, not just like to brag about strength, but to give others strength, particularly other dwarves, but really anybody who wants strength, stability, squared angles, that kind of thing.
or organization.
Yeah, organization, but also just inspirational strength because he grew up in a small town on a temple where religion was part of daily life. Mm-hmm. It wasn't something that you necessarily did only on Sundays, right? It was something that was a part of every day.
Right.
And, people work hard in this world. They don't work 40 hours a week. They work 7 days a week. And so it's something, and dwarves pride themselves on working hard. And so not only does he want to inspire other dwarves, but maybe everybody.
Because the dwarves are like working hard mining a lot of times, right?
The dwarves in my town were actually, they worked with trade. So they actually carried a lot of goods around. Like they lived on this waterfall, and so the dwarves would actually, because it was the switchback down the side of the mountain was too treacherous for a lot of pack animals. So the dwarves actually just carried the stuff up and down the mountain themselves. So that's what they toiled doing. They took a lot of pride in that. Thrain might have been a part of that on some minor level, but.
So if I were going to rephrase that, I might say that like what Thrain is really trying to do is like give the wonderful experiences that his belief and following of Moradin has brought him to his life and to his people, and he wants to help others have a similar opportunity for that.
Yeah. Good.
That's great.
In terms of my goal, I have the exact same goal. No, just joking.
You're trying to spread the good word of Moradin.
Good word of psychology in Seattle.
I mean, I could be cheesy and say that I have some similar human goal of spreading strength or something, but that doesn't really resonate with me. I mean, I always say this, and so it's not anything new, but I'm trying to make the world a better place in my little way. And I think that Thrain is doing so in his specific way, and I'm trying to do it in my specific way.
That's great.
I've bored other people with longer statements than that.
Sweet.
Berto, what about you?
Well, my personal goal is I'm trying to fight against Kirk so that I can make the world a worse place. No. Let's see.
Does that make you con?
God, Berto! My personal goal, if I were going to pick just like an overarching goal, would be something pretty like simple, straightforward, like live forever. But
it is simple and straightforward.
Right. But, under that, there's a lot of sub goals like, eat healthier and be healthier and finish songs and record them and do other projects and do well at work and be a good, member of my family and all that kind of stuff. But it's all because I want to live forever.
Yeah.
Because I want to play more video games. So it's actually my goal is to play more video games.
Your goal is to never ever have
Being
to die.
immortal is just like a step on the path,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're of a specific generation when you're like, there's too many video games to play in one lifetime.
Yeah.
Life is so unfair.
Right. I wrote a song called Day One a year ago, or not quite a year ago. And the whole song's about me wanting to live forever, but like sort of making the point that, people are always like, you get so bored if you actually live forever. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like one of the lines like, day 1 million, I would finally wake up from like a nap or something like that. It's like, no, I could spend 10 billion years just playing Minecraft and then be like, all right, now let's try Minecraft Plus.
Finally ready to move on.
Yeah. I think my Grollo's goal is a little darker, and it's to kill his father.
All right.
Ooh.
So, I mean, I don't think it's things that like he'll bring up on everyday conversation. Like, so what are you trying to do this year? He'll be like, I want to kill my father. But if you really get him a little bit tipsy and talking deep stuff, he'll tell you the story of how much he hated his father and what he did to his village and all these things. And so therefore that if he can do one thing before he dies is find him and kill him.
What did he do?
But, he was an orc. And he came and raided his mother's village, and I'm sure dark stuff ensued, and lots of people died, and he was born as a result, but he really hated it, and he never saw his father really.
But he grew up hearing about him.
Yeah.
By the town or his mom
and his mother probably hated his father, right? So, yeah.
I see.
I will add one thing, though, because this is not my life goal to kill my father. But you've been talking last time about how there are psychological parallels a lot of times.
Sure.
And I certainly have a lot of resentment towards my real-life father. And so, I don't know, I didn't plan it this way. But just like we said last time, maybe there's some subconscious betrayal of my emotions in that.
It's interesting because this is something that sometimes comes up for some players where every single time they make a new character, no matter how different they make them, they always wind up back in the same patterns or in the same places.
Right.
That happens with me, and I have played a lot of characters now, and they all, like, even if I try my best to make them like a cartoony character, they all end up being some sort of projection. And I have like a lens for this now because I do this all the time. So I'm like, oh God, there's that issue coming up. Shush's goal is to have people like want to come see him perform.
Right.
That's like really one of his goals is to have people like seek him out for like to go see him perform in some way.
He wants to be famous, a star of the screen.
He wants to be famous, and that brings me to my
but appreciated.
Yes. Right. For who he really is, not his, not just the showman, but like, to be genuinely appreciated. That's the exact same goal that I have. I was thinking like, man, what is my goal? My goal is to be famous. I used to be an actor.
Right.
And I have transitioned into making Game to Grow my like full-time existence. But I really like the idea of being a voice actor. Oh. And so my one of my goals is to like have a side gig where I can do some voice acting, because you can do that like off the clock and make a thing for it. I really like talking in silly voices. So my goal is to find a second way that I can talk in silly voices professionally.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when I first met you, it was through. When I first met you, it was the acting therapy thing.
Oh yeah, the
remember
drama
we did that
video.
session, and so in my mind, I had positioned you mentally in my little actors guild corner. Yeah, that was a fun session. If you haven't, it's still up, right? You can. What's it called?
Drama therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this. I actually had somebody come up to me at the North American Drama Therapy Association conference and say, "Have I met you before? Like, you look really familiar to me. I'm wondering if we ever met or anything." And then they like came back at the end of the conference and they were like, "I saw you on a YouTube video, and you're the reason why I came to study drama therapy."
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
that is
great.
awesome. Good story.
Yeah, I mean, drama therapy is one of those things that isn't really depicted very well on the internet, and there aren't a lot of entertaining videos to really highlight what drama therapy is.
Yeah,
and it
that's
is
true.
also kind of an obscure program. There's not a lot of programs around the world offer classes in drama therapy.
It's true.
Like, do you know the prevalence?
There's, I think, 5 or 6 universities in the nation. I think at this point they've expanded a lot. It used to be 3.
Yeah.
And Antioch University Seattle was like kind of a side one, and now Antioch's one of the big ones too.
Yeah.
So
Right. So it's if you're gonna be in a video on drama therapy and it's halfway good at a drama
Yeah,
therapy conference,
It's a high percentage.
someone's
of
gonna come up to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
so there you go. There was like a little taste of fame right
All
there.
right.
yeah.
Did you feel accepted and appreciated?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
important.
Got miles to go though. This is a life journey.
Yeah. I think so. We always, even as the facilitators, always answer the questions as well. So
Yeah.
I think for myself, a goal that I have for myself, I guess, is that oh man, this is a deep goal. I want to have a better work-life balance. I'm not particularly good at like setting good boundaries on my work and life, and I often feel like when I'm not doing one, I should be doing the other one, and that's pretty much the case all around the board. And so
Even before Game to Grow?
well, yeah, I think so. I think long before Game to Grow.
Because the
Basically,
thing, I mean, just a little peek behind the curtain, if I might.
yeah.
Just another plug for going to Kickstarter.org, because every penny counts to help Adam Johns with his work-life balance. Is that before Game to Grow, you were in private practice. You graduated from my program, CFT, at Antioch University. You became a therapist. And on the side, you did the Wheelhouse Workshop, which was using Dungeons & Dragons for people who wanted to work on social skills and emotional regulation and stuff. And you did that for a number of years, but it was really a side gig. And then at some point, Adam, you decided to say, hey, let's try to make this bigger. We seem to be getting a certain amount of movement in our culture anyway. We're sort of becoming like the thought leaders in this area. I wonder if we could really, we have so many dreams and aspirations we want to do it, but we can't do it because we have our regular jobs. And so you decided to look into forming a nonprofit. You got a board together, and we formed a nonprofit, and was able to get funds so you could actually dedicate your time. The problem is when it comes to being executive director of a nonprofit, a small nonprofit, in the first few years, it is like there's no limit to the amount of things that need to get done.
Right.
And you changed from having a sort of limitation, and then you started, having kids, if I might say that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And all that kind of stuff. And so now you're looking at a situation where at any given time there's a lot more parenting to get done. A lot more family.
parenting.
There's a lot more familying to get done, and there's always an endless treadmill of Game to Grow tasks to get done. And you could really, people out there, take the pressure off that by going to Kickstarter.org and Kickstarter and going to criticalcore.org. So criticalcore.org will have a link to the Kickstarter.
Once the Kickstarter launches, there will be a link on criticalcore.org that says, click here to go to the Kickstarter.
Starts March 19th.
Yes, but right now you can go to criticalcore.org and sign up for the mailing list, and then you'll be notified every step along the way.
Yeah.
You should have a little meter, like a little cartoon of yourself, showing how stressed you are, and every time someone donates, the stress level goes down a little bit.
Yeah.
like a bunch of little different images. Like I start off and I'm like sweating, and I've got like a big stack of papers or something.
Right. I'm picturing like Ralph Breaks the Internet style art, like, but the arcade art. So you're saying like,
I'm thinking like the Doom face or like the Wolfenstein face from the original.
Right,
like,
there.
Or to really tug on the heartstrings, Adam's child gets a little bit more parenting points.
Better adjusted.
The therapy meter for your child goes down.
An attachment meter.
Amount of money I have to spend on therapy for my child later in life.
Adam's child can receive the care he needs.
It's true. She really needs it.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally the scenario. I mean, we're joking, but we're sort of in a crisis right now about funding. So honestly, I guess if anyone knows of anyone who wants to be a major contributor, either at a corporate level or at an individual level, let us know, because we're doing a lot. I'm not doing a lot. Adam and Adam are doing a lot to search for people who would like to fund. So if anyone knows of anything, let us know.
We can use the help. It would make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So anyway, back to your goals of work-life balance.
So work-life balance. It'd be great to have that, and I think that's a good, just general personal goal. I don't have a character goal because I'm not playing a character.
Right. That makes sense.
Well, do you have a goal for the universe that we're in?
I do have a goal for the universe. So the interesting thing about making a universe in like a Dungeons and Dragons game, when you make a world, if I were making a real world, I would want the world to be peaceful and engaging, but balanced in a lot of ways. But when you make a Dungeons and Dragons world, you don't want that. You are adventurers. If the world had no problems, you wouldn't have anything to do. And that would be a boring game of Dungeons and Dragons. So my goal for the world is that all things that you do as players or as characters in that world should impact the world in a vast, rippling way. That makes it both impossible for you to understand what kind of impact you have, and also a true understanding that you have had impact.
Oh.
So I try to do this as much as I can as a dungeon master all the time, which is that when you make choices in the game, I want those choices to come back to you at later points in the game, sometimes good and sometimes bad, and sometimes just in interesting ways. NPCs you come back across, inside jokes that we make at the table that should come back and reincorporate into the game in a way that makes it both feel like it is a larger world than you can imagine, and that your presence in that world has mattered.
That's awesome.
Yeah, interesting. That's great. And I think you've done a great job so far.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Just wait till the ghost pirates come back.
Spoiler!
Oh, no. Spoilers. Okay. Not right now, though. Yeah. With that, do you guys want to play some Dungeons & Dragons?
Let's do it.
Let's play.
Kirk, would you like to recap what happened last time in our game? And
sure. We were just about to be falsely implicated for murder of a lead that we had on the evil that had infiltrated Pahiha. We were following clues like sleuths.
Yeah.
And we got away, and eventually the Thieves Guild reached out to us. Grollo ended up befriending a local half-orc maiden named Cruddy. And
I drew little hearts around her name over here.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Literally.
Did Grollo, is he like drawing a little picture of her?
I don't think that's his beat.
Well, he can't write, so.
He doesn't write, but he could draw.
Yeah.
It's just he does it. Like, that's not his thing. He probably just like, you know what Grollo would do? Is he would slay some creature to honor
like
the
in her
Yeah.
name. He would shout her name as he slays a creature.
Or at least he would practice, swinging his maul around, imagining he's slaying a whole contingent of soldiers or something.
You know what I can kind of picture Grollo doing? Writing poetry. Not writing, but like reciting.
Recite, sure.
Yeah,
I
like
could see
reciting
something.
some poetry, but it wouldn't be very good.
Well,
poetry.
actually, you remember he was trying to say flirtatious things. So in that vein, I think you're probably onto something.
Yeah.
We may see some Grollo poetry.
So we were approached by the Thieves Guild, and Bodrick, I believe the half-elf name of his was. That's a weird sentence. And then we went to the underground, literally, to meet the Thieves Guild people. They declared the 4 of us were dead, including Nicholas, to the city. So now we have the ability to, and we have a new identity. We have new identities.
You've just been declared dead, so
Okay.
you are like not officially
No longer
in the town.
No longer wanted.
Yeah,
And
It's like losing your stars in Grand Theft Auto.
yeah.
right. You went through the paint shop.
Yeah.
You're now.
And we found out that they had captured the half-orc sister who had tried to assassinate us in the beginning of this adventure. And so we interrogated her and found out from her that the Lord Blancmere, with the Eye of Grumpsh gem necklace that we've seen, correct me if I'm wrong,
The symbol, at least, yeah.
we didn't see the...
You haven't seen the gem.
We haven't seen the gem.
Yeah.
We saw, because I thought he had a necklace, but it was a symbol, but not the gem.
Yes, it's just like a little like a pendant or
Yeah.
something.
Have we seen the gem?
No.
We have not seen the gem.
Yeah.
And so this Lord Blancmere, who is an archaeologist professor whom we met a long time ago, is apparently the avatar of Grumpsh, which is an evil god, orc god. Is that right? We were told avatar, or not avatar, but speaker of the John the Baptist of the Jesus. Of
I think you
Grumpsh.
were actually told avatar. I think
Yeah,
the
I
word
think
they
he's
used was avatar.
But avatar means you're embodying
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
god.
I think he's like a husk in which Grumpsh hosts.
Okay. So Grumpsh is like inside Lord Blancmere in part.
Yeah.
It's like a Scooby-Doo episode.
You're going to pull off
I was
Lord
Grumpsh the
Blancmare's
whole
face.
time.
Well, it's also like Harry Potter, the first book, where
Right.
Spoiler.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. He
And
dies.
Okay, so Avatar. So Grumpsh is inside Lord Blancmere. I'm glad we had that cleared up. And
Is he blue like Avatar?
yeah, and
Got an arrow on his forehead. Too.
yeah, and they make love with their tails.
Yeah.
So Lord Blancmere has been influencing the king of this town from what it sounds like, not through magic, but just through influence, like Gandalf to someone.
Which is a kind of magic.
Worm tongue.
Yeah, but Wormtongue had magic.
He did have he
things.
used magic.
Yeah.
So that's
To affect the policies of the town and then to spread lies and to gain power, which meant that Lord Blancmere had to get rid of the primary enemy of Grumpsh, which is my god Moradin, and also by building up or changing the image of Grumpsh and actually like starting temples of Grumpsh in this town, which wouldn't normally exist or would exist in the underground or something. And it appears that the plan is that Lord Blancmere is going to have some climax that will happen at some point, either from sacrifice or if enough people believe in Grumpsh. Or, did we get clear on that? Like, what gives the power to Grumpsh to actually breach the plane of our existence?
only that belief is an important part to that.
Okay.
And that the fake churches or worshiping to Grumpsh is not sufficient in
So he needs
creating that
more.
power. He needs more.
More.
People that actually believe in Grumpsh.
Right.
And
the sort
and
of
his,
real tenets of Grumpsh.
and his evilness.
Right.
Which is probably must be happening and maybe has something to do with the sacrifices we see on the statues. And so we let her go in response to her giving us that information because it's the honorable, lawful, good thing to do. And she left. And so that's where we left off.
Yeah.
Perfect. With that, it is 8 years ago. We see a dig happening in the middle of the desert to the east. There are many people participating in the dig. Some of them are clearly students of the university, as they wear pins and scarves and other apparel that designates them as a part of the university. And they're sort of commanding them, but more specifically teaching them, is Lord Blancmere. He looks younger and less worn than he looks now. And as he is helping a student figure out the best ways to excavate the particular piece that they're working on, he's a genuine, kind individual. You can see he's walking them through the process of taking pottery out from unearthing it from the dig that they're working at, and explaining the rich history of the orcs and why it's always been such an interest to him. As he's there, you can see him talking with students, but also with another professor, a professor who is clearly helping him, and they're sort of teaming up to do a lot of the dig. And as they drink a cup of water together in this desert, they smile and look over all the students who are successfully helping them with this amazing unearthing project. Later that evening, both Blancmere and this other unnamed professor are traveling deeper into the ruins of the amazing find that they have, a city that it was built by the orcs and that was housed many orcs way before they had been banished to the underground of the world.
So this is an above ground city?
It looks to be so. Although
that's been buried underneath some dirt.
Yeah, and it stretches underground in many different ways, but the city looks well built. It looks like it was
out in the open.
It was out in the open. And it also looks large enough that it is clearly bigger than what any orc tribes would have been able to populate and build. But it also looks ancient. It is covered in dirt and dust, and nobody has been here in a very long time. Blancmere talks with his fellow academic teacher about the wondrous nature of this find and how happy they are to have stumbled across it and to be really seeing the rich history of the orcs. And as they travel down deeper, both of them slip as the ground gives way beneath them, and they slide down into a chamber that they had not yet discovered. And in that chamber, they can see a large and looming statue of Grumsh. And both of them sort of dust themselves off, check for injuries, and then stare in wonder at the beautiful statue in front of them. Whoa. The statue stands a solid 15 feet tall, with two gleaming jeweled eyes, one bright white, almost a diamond in color, and the other one a dark, misted over obsidian color. And Blancmere and his professor both smile, and they're so excited to find this amazing find. But knowing that there is a danger to treasure hunters, both of them climb up to the eyes held for Grumsh in this sacred place that they've discovered, and pry the gems out of the eyes very carefully, making sure not to damage either the gems or the statue itself. And Blancmere grabs the obsidian darker colored gem, and his assistant, his fellow teacher, grabs the other gem. And the two of them talk and chat as they climb their way out of the place, and eventually it is night. Blancmere and all the students and his fellow teaching assistant are sleeping in their respective tents. And Blancmere is sweating and kicking off the covers and tossing and turning in his sleep, in his own private tent. And suddenly his eyes shoot open, and he sits up, and there, standing and looming above him, is Grumsh. Grumsh stands there and stares down at Blancmere and says only, "You are the one to carry this? You are pathetic." And we see Grumsh lean down and grab Blancmere by his neck and hold him above his bed. And Blancmere struggles and scrapes against the massive claw that is Grumsh's hand, but to no avail. Grumsh looks Blancmere in the eyes and he says, "You will be my vessel. "You will bring back the orcs of old, and we will lay waste to this place." And Blancmere, Grumsh seems to let go of Blancmere's neck enough for him to speak. And Blancmere coughs and sputters, and he says, I've only ever enjoyed the orcs as they are. I have no desire to want to bring that kind of terror and damage to our realm. And Grumsh says, "You also have no choice." And we see as Grumsh lowers Blancmere to the ground and squeezes his neck until the color fades from his face. And then shortly later, we see the scene of the camp as some lights are turning on and screams are being heard. And the figure of Blancmere can be seen in shadows, going from tent to tent, killing every individual in the camp. Except the other professor, who hears the screams and grabs his gem and runs off into the desert.
Oh my god, dark. I can see the movie opening like that.
And so we're back.
There is no, what's his name?
The professor?
There is no, there is no
Blanc.
Blancmere. There is only Grumsh.
Right.
Wow, gripping. Well told.
And so we're back. We're back to the three of you. You've now had the opportunity. You've had this conversation with Sky. You're still in the underground of the Thieves Guild.
So when Blancmere saw us in the tavern, that was not like simply, some dude talking to us. That was Grumsh talking.
Yeah.
How much of that do our characters know?
You don't know any of
We
it.
don't know.
Okay. Okay.
We know that Grumsh is an avatar.
Yes, or at least you've been told
Blancmere is
that.
an avatar for Grumsh, and so
We don't know the
now,
backstory.
so we know that we interacted with Grumsh back in a week ago or something.
Right. Or at least some kind of shell or avatar representative of Grumsh. You know as much as you had learned from Sky and various things like that.
And for those that don't know the mechanics of this in the D&D world, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, that gods have a hard time just entering the realm of our realm, whatever world this is. They can exist in their own realms. Grumsh and Moradin actually exist every day, and I think they fight every day, don't they, in the afterlife?
Sure, or something to that effect.
There's some plane that the orcs
Right.
and the dwarven gods live on, and they do various things, including try to kill each other.
So there are other sort of worlds or planes of existence where the gods themselves are actual existing in those planes, doing things. But the material plane, the place where the three of you currently are, and the place where sort of Earth or
This
the
version of
realm
Earth.
this version of Earth currently exists, has been taken off limits for the gods to directly influence. The story that all of you have heard, because this is true across many different beliefs and many different sort of religious ideals within this world, is that the world was created and then specifically taken off limits from God's direct influence. So it was a rule that the gods came to, that they decided upon, that this world would be a place that they could not go to, but could only influence through their followers. And all the gods had decided upon that together. But the stories that you've heard sometimes leave out the idea, or sometimes include it, that many of the gods, some of them, were left out of that agreement. And so the gods protect this realm to prevent some of the other gods from entering. Gods like Grumsh, who were sort of pulled the short straw on being able to pick where their followers would live and where their followers would exist. And so the orcs were banished to the underground because they were the followers of Grumsh, and Grumsh was left out of the decision making from this realm. And so Grumsh has always had a sort of sore spot for being taken from the lands that he wanted his followers to have, and from the people that his people became. because they didn't get the opportunity to have say the same way that he thought they should. And so
the other gods considered it justified because Grumsh is an asshole.
right. And Grumsh did many things both before and after then to show his sort of true colors, that he did not have care for the other gods.
Or anything.
Or anything. He cared about his followers and about war and destruction.
Yeah.
Wonder if he cares about anything or anyone.
That's the true heartbreaking story of Grumsh. So there's lots of tales like that, and that's basically the way this world works. Which also means that the gods they pull power from the worship that happens in this realm. The people who follow them are also a representative in spreading the word and help give power back to those gods. The belief that people have in those gods, even though the gods can't be there themselves, is a part of what fuels and funnels the power that they have.
Yeah,
So-
it's sort of like if you've seen the Guardians of the
Galaxy.
No, the cartoon where they had Santa and Jack Frost.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Guardians, I can't remember, it's Guardians something. And when children don't believe in Santa, Santa sort of fades out of existence.
Oh yeah.
Or if you've ever read American Gods, it's a very similar concept to Neil Gaiman's American
I watched
Gods.
it. Well, you've read that, right?
I haven't.
Oh, I thought you liked Neil Gaiman.
I love Neil Gaiman,
Yeah.
but I haven't read American Gods.
Yeah, I watched the TV show, the first 5 or 6 episodes, and was intrigued, and then I got a little annoyed with like how confusing it was. I felt like it never had a plot.
I like the book a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked the book. It was like I steal stuff as a game master all the time, and I've definitely stolen some of those concepts from Neil
I mean, it
Gaiman's
seems
books.
like the book would be really good because the book would actually explain things a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always heard great things about them.
It has a really slow reveal. So I don't know how they do it in the show, but the reveal is like
Spoiler.
you learn over time the stuff that is important.
Okay, good.
I will say, I think that's also true for the book. Like, there are times where it's a little confusing and you're trying to kind of catch up. It's told a lot from the perspective of somebody who isn't in on what's happening, and so they're just sort of seeing what's going on, and they don't really understand everything. And so you as the reader often don't understand exactly what's going on. But without having any real spoilers, a big part of the book is this idea that belief in gods is what gives gods their existence. And so when gods sort of fall out of belief in our world, they also fall out of power and find it harder to continue to persist.
Like Coco.
Yeah. It is a little like Coco.
The last
actually.
person that remembers you is gone.
So the idea in this world, this story, is that as Grumsh and Lord Blancmere have tricked people into believing. Well, so let me understand. So we've had it been told to us that the fake worshipping of the fake Grumsh isn't actually invigorating Grumsh.
Right.
So we don't know what else is going on.
So
But why would they have a fake worshipping? Is that
it's-
something that will be revealed later or something?
It's a great question. It is something that will be revealed a little bit more down the road. But you've been told that sacrifices, and you kind of figured this out. Sacrifices are being made in those temples.
Yeah.
Human sacrifices. There
So
are
maybe
people who
they're
are
like
being
tricking people to fake worship so they can kill them.
or so that they can have temples to Grumsh, which
Right.
they then can use to actually worship Grumsh.
Because he doesn't
within
care about
those
the
places.
humans or dwarves or whoever else is worshiping. He just cares about, having the temples, doing the sacrifices, and eventually bringing the orcs in.
Right.
I see. Trixie.
So that brings us back to where all of you are. So after this conversation with Sky and kind of hanging out in the Thieves Underground, where are you planning to go next? What is your plan here?
I know where Grollo wants to go.
Yeah.
Because remember, part of this was that they were saying like that they're gonna need help from the orc side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that it's like, well, I wonder if I can go talk to Cruddy and like get in, So I think that there's a dual purpose to Grollo thinking that's a good idea.
Rollo's hoping maybe Cruddy can help provide an in or
Yes.
or some insight or something like
Well,
that.
let's role play it. What does Grollo say?
I really think the most important thing we can do right now is go see Cruddy again.
Why? You just want to have some more quote unquote soup?
I don't know what you're getting at, but
Or pie, sorry, Lee pies.
Lee pies.
Delicious Lee pies.
Well, yes, I'm always hungry for Lee pies, but the main point,
Is that in quotes, hungry for Lee pies?
I don't get it. The main point that I'm trying to say is we need help from orcs. We need to understand what's going on the orc community, and I think Cruddy can help me with that.
Wow, that's one of the first smart things you've said in a long time. It's really astute and wise of you.
Yeah, as always.
What do you think?
I think it sounds like a good idea, and I think we could always use more Lee pies.
Yeah, okay. Nicholas, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess that sounds as good an idea as any. I mean, I don't know where to go from here.
So I can't remember where we left off, Nicholas, but you're free to go if you want to. It sounds like you're off the hook with the Thieves Guild now, and so you've paid your debt to the three of us.
So Nicholas kind of looks all three of you over, and he's looking like a little sheepish in his guar gear.
Well, it's covered with
that is covered
red
with a
and white
poncho,
poncho.
a red and white poncho.
Coolest poncho ever.
And he says, I never really fit in all that well with any of the thieves. I didn't take on pay dues or anything like that. They don't really like me down here. And frankly, all the groups and guys that I used to run with.
You're in.
Really?
Yeah. Right, guys?
I mean, I'd like to
Yeah.
see how some of it turns out. I'm not much one for all the fighting and
I'd
stuff,
be
but the mystery
sorely
is pretty interesting.
disappointed if you left us.
You can see like a tear kind of stream down Nicholas's cheek, and he kind of wipes his cheek, and he goes, "Yeah, well, you got to have somebody on your team who can sneak around a little bit. That's a super important part of having a team and everything."
It's true.
Plus, you got to help me write some poems for Cruddy.
Oh, you didn't know this? I'm a poet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm part of the Longfellow Society.
What does that do?
We're poets.
Oh, okay.
We write poetry.
Okay, well, I was thinking, because her name is Cruddy, I could, say something like, Cruddy, when blood runs in my mouth and I eat a leap pie, you are in my mouth too.
You can see, roll me an insight check. to gauge Nicholas's reaction to this
which one do I use?
amazing poem. Roll a d20 and add your insight skill.
You mean my +1 to my 3, 4? That's a 4.
Perfect. So 4. You, as far as you can tell, Nicholas seems entranced, amazed by your incredible poetry.
I knew I could do it.
Yeah, a great job. I might recommend you start with rhyming maybe a little more.
Okay, rhyming, but her name is Cruddy.
Right.
Is her skin's the color of ruddy?
Or putty maybe?
Maybe she makes you feel muddy.
Okay, rhyming. You make me feel muddy.
You know what? It's a start. Let's work on it. I say don't maybe tell her the poem yet because you don't want her to have some insight before it's finished,
That sounds right. Reasonable. All right.
We'll keep working on it.
I think, I like mine, but we can work on it, I suppose.
He kind of shrugs and he goes, well, half-orc women, I guess. I don't know what kind of poetry they like the best.
Well, remember what Sky said, that the road to a half-orc woman's heart is through her stomach, correct? Wasn't that what she said?
Yeah, and she said you should be quiet and cook for her.
Be quiet and cook for her.
Be quiet and cook for her.
And
while
then-
I say poems?
Later you say poems.
Oh, okay. Well, what if I say poems while I'm cooking?
I don't know. I don't want to be around either way.
Okay, I think I've got it. I will have her cook while I tell her my poems.
Fine.
Okay.
Nicholas kind of shrugs.
Do it behind closed doors. All right. Well, should we go talk to Cruddy then?
Let's head into
Let's
town.
do it.
Awesome. It is pretty late in the evening at this point. You guys have had, frankly, just a very, very long day. And as you're headed back up into town, it's clear like a lot of the streets have kind of emptied out. A lot of shops are closing or have already closed. And you were given passage by Broderick, who kind of helped you find your way back up. The tunnels under the city are incredibly confusing and incredibly hard to navigate. And without Broderick's help, you probably would not have been able to figure out how to get back to where you were. But now that you're supposedly dead and were found by the guard, there's no concern about having to walk around. Nobody really knows who you are here anyway, so there's not a lot of concerns for walking around just in general.
Are we wearing our tunics?
I imagine you still are. And it's interesting that you are because even though the streets are sort of emptying out, you can see that people have started putting up decorations. It looks like there is some kind of event that is going on tonight. And there aren't a lot of people out here in this part of town, but people have put up decorations on their houses and on the outsides of their businesses that look like there's some kind of celebration or holiday that is happening around the city.
What is all this stuff for? Do you see all this?
I don't know.
Oh, this is probably the music festival. They like to decorate the whole city, but the actual festival happens further into the city, like into the center of the city. I didn't realize that it had already come around.
Shush, maybe you could play something.
I think I might.
That would take attention away from us.
I think that's a great use of my skills.
The way the music festival works is that everybody kind of votes for the musicians that they like the best. You can see the different colors on all the different buildings, and they kind of are representing the bands and the groups that they like the best. But there's an open section where you can just go in and perform.
Me.
Wow.
Does the winner get to meet the king?
Or maybe he gets to meet Blankmere.
The king does like to come to the finals for the music festival. Those are tomorrow night.
Or maybe I should do my poetry.
You could try.
I guess if you had some music to it, you could do that.
I could be your musical background.
Oh, maybe I need to practice some more with Cruddy first. And then once she loves it, I will know it's ready.
You'll know which poems are the best.
That's right.
No, I'd really like to see this role played out today, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna want that to happen.
As you're walking back into the sort of marketplace, you can see there are still some tables that are still set up. There's still some people that are selling things. You can watch as like some people are closing their shops and stuff. But you can see that Cruddy's table is still, or booth, I guess, is still set up and there, except Cruddy's not there.
I don't see Cruddy.
Is anybody? No one's there.
There are people that are still sort of walking around on the streets, but nobody's at the booth.
Okay.
It's like
It is
Person.
Is there a nearby booth that has anybody?
Yeah, there's a couple of other booths that are nearby that.
Hey.
Okay, go ahead.
What are you gonna do?
I walk up to the other booth and I say, "So, Cruddy, the woman that sold the Lee pies, where did she go?"
Oh, that woman. Oh, she is quite the lady, which he says while doing finger quotes.
She is. I agree.
She chewed me out for having too much fish smell from my booth. I'm a fish booth. Of course there's a fish smell. That's what pulls people into the fish booth.
And she chewed you up because of this? You
Yeah,
don't
well,
look damaged.
I am damaged. I'm emotionally damaged. I can't believe she would have gone through all of that. Really insult my fish. And in front of my customers, too. Unbelievable.
It's probably something you did.
I will talk to the marketplace owner is what I'll do. I'll have her move to the other side of the marketplace. She is no selling her disgusting pies. I'll have nothing to do with it.
Well, we'd like to actually talk with her about that bad behavior because I think you're right. Where might we find her?
What bad behavior?
She wandered off down in that direction.
Oh.
I heard her loudly
Right.
complaining about some customers keeping her too long and needing another goat.
Which direction?
He points down like down a sort of a side street.
How long ago?
30 minutes, an hour ago.
Okay. So
Everybody roll me perception checks.
8.
19. Lucky dice.
Nice.
Perception, you said 10.
All right, 10 for Grollo. Shush. Cruddy's booth doesn't look packed up in any way. The pots are still on. The fire's still going. There's like half chopped ingredients that are sitting on the board, on like her chopping board. It doesn't look like the kind of booth of somebody who like left expecting to leave for half an hour.
Do I sort of smell like some stuff that could be a leap pie or could become a leap pie?
You do want to cook for her. This may be your golden opportunity. Can I do an insight check and see if this person lied to me about Cruddy leaving?
Yeah.
3.
You don't think so. He seems like an incredibly trustworthy fellow.
Okay.
And also, all of his fish look just delicious.
I guess I'm buying fish then.
Well, it looks like Cruddy isn't around, and we'll have to try to find her another time.
Maybe I could make a leap pie while she's out.
Shush will let you know that this looks like there's maybe some foul play because the place hasn't been packed up.
Oh.
Either that or she's coming back soon.
Maybe if you look a little closer, there's some clues.
Grollo, now that it's been pointed out to you, as you come a little closer, you realize there's the smell of something burning in the air. And if you duck your head back behind the booth, you can see she has like a little cooking oven for making the pies, and you can see there's a pie that has been left there. That is clearly burnt to a crisp.
My hand! This thing was burning! Who burns leap pies?
Leap pies are supposed to burn you.
I get it.
Yes.
Oh, you get it.
Because you take it out of the oven and it hurts your hand. I get it.
Yes, and your mouth. And
But
your digestive tract.
I don't believe Cruddy would do this.
I don't think so either. So I think we should find her.
Where should we look?
Where could she have gone? No one leaves.
Which
leap
alleyway
pies.
did he point to?
Just the alleyway to the side. You guys can head down in that direction.
Ow! Oh, this is too
You gotta
burnt.
blow on it first.
Is he carrying the hot burnt pie with
Can I say that there's something about the word Lee pie that drives me crazy? There's just something about that invention that just I don't know if I like it or hate it.
It makes me hungry every time I
No, it's
It makes me
actually
really
about
want
food.
an empanada. That's sort of what I picture.
But Lee pie, like it there seems like there should be another syllable in there.
Remember, these are like primitive folk.
Okay, we head down the alley looking for her.
As you head down the alley, it isn't hard because you're all in the process of looking for her. It isn't hard. Doesn't take you very long before you find her hatchet that you saw her cutting stuff up has been left in the alley, and there is a trail of blood leading away from it.
Oh no!
We follow the trail of blood.
Cruddy!
The trail of blood sort of comes to a stop. It doesn't last very long, but you do follow it a short ways. That seems to be pointing or heading towards the center of town.
Is there any way we can tell what kind of blood it is?
Like
animal blood, orc blood, human blood.
Yeah, everybody roll me
Gotta
either
really
nature or medicine.
Medicine.
Well, you can use whichever one is higher.
I got a 6.
I got an 11.
I'm rolling terribly.
4.
New die.
You guys cannot tell.
It looks like blood.
It does look like blood. It is definitely blood.
Could be anyone's blood.
With an 11, you can tell it is blood.
It's not goat blood though.
You
So-
don't
no
think
idea.
she's run away because of my poems I was gonna say
I
to
don't
her?
think so. I think your poems will save her.
Okay.
So I prepared a new spell
Okay,
called Locate Object,
it's awesome.
and so I'm going to cast
great
it
spell.
on something she was wearing.
Oh, she has her. Well, she has got her. We found her hatchet or her.
Not
what is
well,
it?
obviously not the hatchet.
Oh.
Something she's wearing.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. What is something? I'll let you. So you can totally pick out. You saw her. You
Right.
can totally pick out something.
Oh, you don't
that
have to
wear.
have
Like a
the-
belt.
Yeah. Okay. What does the belt look like? I'll let you. You can just make this up, Kirk.
A leather belt that regular people wear that keeps one's sort of stuff in line.
Awesome. Look like common brown leather belt.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
So
would you read me the description for that?
Yeah.
I see. So you don't have to have the object. You call out what the object
Yeah.
is.
Where is?
Well, if you had the object, it wouldn't be very
There it
helpful to
is.
locate it.
In my hands.
I thought it was more like you have to have a piece of her clothing in order to
Oh,
find
like
out where
a
she
piece
is.
of the object.
Yeah,
or
or
something.
something, yeah.
And I actually use a forked twig, like a
Like a dowsing rod.
yeah. And it
Do you keep it with you? Do you have it like in your
I
pocket?
have to. Yeah. It lasts up to 10 minutes. I guess I can use any forked twig, but I guess I would have had one. Describe or name an object that is familiar to you. You sense the direction to the object's location as long as that object is within 1,000 feet.
Okay. I would say you're not within 1,000 feet, but go ahead and roll me a spell casting check, and we'll see whether or not you can still utilize this to at least point you in the right direction.
Okay.
You can use just your spellcasting, your bonus for your spellcasting.
I think is it 5? I don't know. How does this work in
I think so. It's like if you were doing a spell attack.
4. So 20.
All right.
Hey.
I'll say even though it is outside of the 1,000-foot, you get like classic cartoon dowsing rod opportunity that you're like holding onto this twig. Is there a visual effect, or does it literally look like you just pulled out a twig and you're now following it around in the city?
I have. I mean, I assume it doesn't say that specifically, but we'll just say that's what it is. Actually, I can cast it on a creature known to me, so I'm going to cast it on her because she might have lost the belt.
That's cool. Cool spell.
Yeah, that's great. It's very useful.
Yeah, so
Find
long as you
keys.
have seen the creature up close, within 30 feet, at least once. Okay,
Awesome. Yeah. Cool.
So I can keep. Oh no, so let's locate creature. Sorry, I still have to do object. I was looking at locate creature.
We'll say the belt. I think the belt's a good lead.
Yeah. So I can, as long as I can do up to 10 minutes. So if we don't find her within 10 minutes, then we'll know we're closer to her. But
the four of you start heading closer into the center of town. This is actually where you were originally when you went and visited the Church of Grumsh, the time where you were there during.
This is
the night.
where we saw the blood in the.
Right by the statue.
as you get your maul ready.
Oh,
As you head,
it's ready.
as we pulled it out.
Yeah.
As you head closer to the center of town, you can see that the activity around this like nighttime place is picking up quite a bit. People are clearly like really excited for the music, and in fact, you can hear some music coming out from the center of town activities, and there are people who are like. Getting more and more ridiculous with their decorations at their places of business, and eventually you are traveling through a crowd that seems to be gathering close by to stages, and there are actually several different stages. It's sort of like a massive battle of the bands where there are many different groups all performing just far enough away from each other so that if you're close to the stage, you get to hear your group rather than the cacophonous sound.
And then after they play, they actually battle.
And then they actually battle. They take their instruments and they beat each other up with them. No. They are. It is sort of like a voting. Like people are voting for
American
who they like
Idol.
best. Yeah, it's a little bit American Idol.
Did you know that I was in a battle of the bands when I was in high school and we won?
Did you win?
But we were the only band.
Yeah. So was
But you won.
but you
And
won.
we were terrible.
But you came in first.
We shouldn't have won. We should have been in last place. It was awful.
That's spectacular. I like the idea that there's a battle of the bands. They can only convince one band to show
What was
up.
the name of your band?
At the time, it was called Four Men because we didn't have any other idea. Well, we started out 5 men, and then we kicked one guy out. So then we kicked out another guy. Then we were 3 men, and then we called ourselves Retro Viva because there was a secondhand store in Seattle in the '80s called Retro Viva.
Oh.
And it just sounded so cool. Retro.
It is
Viva.
That is a
That's
cool
a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I think you should have stuck with 5 men even when you got down to
Even
3.
when
I
you
think.
Like Ben Folds 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. I had a terrible idea.
I'd love to hear it.
What if she was saving that Lee pie and she wanted it crispy? What if I ate her Lee pie?
I don't think that's the situation.
safe
Did you eat the entire thing, Grillo?
I did.
Yeah.
Did it give you strength?
It did.
I think she would have wanted that for you.
Okay. I hope so.
As you're moving through the crowds, you are finally getting I guess a ping or a hit on your dowsing rod for the location of this thing, and it's taking you closer and closer, specifically to the Church of Grumsh that the four of you had visited previously. The church is closed up. The doors are closed. All the sort of lights are off and everything like that. And you can't hear anything coming from inside. The church has sort of large walls that go into an open courtyard, and the large walls have a big door that can close up and prevent people from coming in. The walls are probably we'll say like 12 feet tall. And they have like nice fancy little spires around the edges of it.
Ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to climb. I need to get inside. So I'm trying to climb the wall.
The four of you definitely cannot hear anything going on inside, partly because you're like right in between two different stages, and so you're hearing a sort of polka band at the same time that you're hearing a what sounds like just a drum group. All they're doing is playing drums, all at the same time from kind of two different sides, and the rhythms are really discordant when you're right in the middle of the two.
By Moradin's hairy ears.
Yeah. Grollo, give me an athletics check to see how well you can actually climb this wall.
Oh, whoa. +5. 12.
All right. Grollo, you are having quite a lot of difficulty with the wall, even though you're generally pretty good. And the rocks on the surface of the wall are pretty smooth, and you're finding a really hard time to get purchase on it.
Free Grollo.
How much space is between the building and the other building?
Like the buildings next to it?
Yeah.
I would say it's maybe a good, we'll say 7-foot gap, 8-foot gap.
So a little too far to like Super Mario 64 wall jump.
You couldn't Super Mario 64 wall jump. If you were like on the roof of the other building, you might be able to leap the gap, although it would like dump you 12 feet down into a courtyard.
Is that building easier to climb?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's climb that one.
Okay.
That building actually has like a fire escape.
Oh.
And you can kind of like make your way New York City style up the fire escape. It's very modern, this building that is right next to this church. And so it's pretty easy to make your way up to the roof. I'm not even going to make you guys roll for that.
Okay.
When you're on the roof, you can just barely see over the top of the wall. I guess in order to be able to jump it, you'd have to be able to see a little more. You can see into the courtyard. There doesn't seem to be anything going on in the courtyard. It looks like the courtyard is dark. There's nobody in there. There is you can see the statue and everything like that. But there's nothing happening. You're sort of looking down into the courtyard itself.
This is the statue that we saw the blood on.
Yes. And your dowsing rod is like definitely pointing you in that direction. Not the church, the courtyard. It's 100% pointing you in that spot. In fact, it looks like it's pointing almost directly at the statue, or at least directly in front of it.
Your stick is confused. It thinks a statue is a belt.
Moradin's direction is never confused, Grollo. Something is amiss. I have seen illusions before. I try to not see illusions.
You can roll me a Arcana check to tell whether or not there is something going on here.
A 5. Yeah.
It looks like an empty courtyard.
I cast detect magic.
Oh, okay. As you cast detect magic, you can tell there is quite a lot of magic. It is surrounding the entire courtyard. Not just that, but it looks like it is built into the walls. The walls of the courtyard itself are like pulsing with a magic. You can roll another Arcana check, and this one is to identify the kind of magic that is.
5.
Awesome. You don't know what kind of magic it is, but you can tell it's all magical, and it definitely extends as like a dome over the top of the courtyard as well.
Can I danger sense right now?
So danger sense is more like a passive ability, like giving you an advantage in different situations.
You're alerting
Do
the
I
DM.
sense anything?
You don't sense yourself as being in any danger. It doesn't feel like there's anybody around you, and you're like keeping your situational awareness up, and there's nobody here next to you.
Shush and Nicholas, I think maybe some sneaking around while we're up here might be in order, just to scout the courtyard.
Is there on the roof? Are there like any rocks or anything I could throw?
Yeah. I'll say there's some. Oh wait, there's some broken pottery up here. It looks like somebody was practicing with probably a slingshot. There's probably like a little kid climbing up onto the roof and like breaking pottery with a slingshot.
Are the like slingshot bolts up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see a few slingshot bolts and a few pieces of broken
But
pottery.
no slingshot.
No slingshot.
Remind me of my youth. I'm gonna pick up a slingshot bolt and throw it into the courtyard and see if I can hit the statue and see if it's gonna like interact with an illusion or something.
What are you doing? Why are you throwing rocks? Why are you throwing rocks?
I'm trying to see if the statue is real or if it's an illusion.
Of course it's a statue.
It could be magic, and Cruddy could be down there, and this
Okay.
boring courtyard could be fake. I'm trying to see if it's real. We might hear something, so listen up.
Okay.
You throw the rock. It's not very large. It's like a little pebble. You throw it pretty accurately, and you watch as the pebble flies through the air and then immediately disappears as soon as it gets to just a little above
I knew it.
the section of thing.
It
You
was
also-
a fake rock.
Did you hear anything?
Again, there's a lot of music happening. Even on top of this roof, there's still like a lot of sounds. But no, you do not hear it.
Does that mean the rock was not real?
No, the statue wasn't real.
Oh,
The
okay.
rock was real, but went and then it disappeared.
Okay.
It went into an illusion.
Wait. Are you real?
I'm real.
Okay.
As real as I've ever been.
Can I touch?
You may.
Okay. All right.
You didn't share your leapi with me.
I'm gonna go down there and find Cruddy. I can't wait any longer. If she wanted that leapi, I need to know.
I think we should jump from here over the wall and land in the courtyard.
I'm jumping.
Awesome. Grollo doesn't finish wait for Shush to finish the sentence. He runs and jumps over the side.
I don't know if
Do I need to roll?
Roll me an athletics.
I don't
check.
know if Thrain can jump. He might need your help. Oh, boom!
9.
You can climb back up and try again.
Whatever.
Oh man, 9 is real bad.
no.
You watch as Grollo jumps, and he clears the gap, but his foot hits the edge of the wall as he's going over the top of it, and you watch as he flips from upright to completely upside
Impulse
down
control.
before he immediately disappears, and you cannot see Grollo
I
anymore.
don't think that was a good idea. Thrain, how do you feel about jumping?
I feel like I have this. As he's saying that, I'm pulling a rope out and tying it to something, and then I say, "You first."
So I'll hold if I'm getting your signal, I'm going to grab the other end of the rope, and then I'm going to jump across, and I'll hold it for you, and you can tightrope across.
Oh, we have to go across a chasm?
It's like a road. Or like a wide
alleyway,
alleyway
right?
or something like that.
And he
basically
fell
jumping
down,
from-
and he
No.
was trying to.
I was doing the long jump,
You were trying to do the
and
long
I
jump.
actually cleared the thing.
He
but then
cleared
I
it. He made
tripped
it in, and then he tripped
fell
and
into the.
flipped.
Oh,
to the statue.
okay. I didn't have that in
But
my head.
as a dwarf, I'm concerned that you might not be able to make a 7-foot long jump.
Yeah. No.
So I can make the 7-foot long jump.
here's-
Hold on to the rope on the
Gotcha.
other side, and it can be taut, and then you can maybe like even
Awesome.
underhand it across.
Right.
But I have to hold it in battle if we're going into like groom territory.
I have a grappling hook as well, and
Okay.
I just tie that, and I try to throw it across
probably
to
safer.
make it catch on something.
Okay, so the part of from the roof that you are at, you're actually not that close to the statue. The courtyard's kind of like a long courtyard. You're closer to the door side of the courtyard than you are to the statue side of the courtyard. As you throw the grappling hook, you tie it to something that's sort of protruding out from the roof of this building, and then you throw the grappling side over the edge, and you watch as the grappling hook, similar to Grollo, sort of disappears into the top of the courtyard, almost like it's passing through like a mist that happens to look exactly like an empty courtyard. But you pull on the rope, and it feels like it is caught on something, and you can start making your way across the rope.
Does it have like an incline on it?
It's actually down.
So a downward descent.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you guys are
let's
actually headed
zip line it.
Yeah, you want to zip line down. Grollo,
Yeah, what's going on with me?
Grollo, as you clear the gap, but then sort of fumble the landing, you fall 12 feet. And you flip a little bit during that process. Griller, I'm going to have you roll me a dexterity saving throw to see just how bad this fall is.
Okay, and +2. What is this, 18? 20.
All right, 20. Your fall is
First good roll of the day.
it is miraculously better than you thought it was going to be. You're still going to take some damage because the
Okay.
trip was too bad.
Okay.
But I'm going
I wish I could have
Make it pretty
seen
small.
that landing.
You only take 1 damage.
Oh,
Grollo.
okay.
Amazing.
I'm a hardy kind of guy.
do
I'm
one of
imagining you
those,
sort
like-
of trip and then like flip over several times and then somehow like land on your feet, like fully standing anyway. Grollo, because your landing was good enough that it's not too much of a distraction, you can see you are clearly interrupting what is absolutely a giant sacrifice ritual.
Oh my god.
You can see that there are 8 people standing around in dark robes with large symbols of groups
Oh my
emblazoned
gosh.
on the robes.
They,
You
like-
can see that there are torches around everywhere. They have their
Classic.
hoods pulled up. It is a classic sacrifice.
And they've heard me, I'm
This is like a
assuming.
Mazes
They
and
absolutely
Monsters
heard you.
So, like,
I'm
turn-
imagining you shouted. They're
turning around at me.
Yeah, they've all turned around, and like some of them, like one of them is holding like a sacrifice, a ritual sacrifice spear.
Okay.
And then the other ones, like some of them are holding torches, and they've all like turned, and you can't see their faces because they're all covered in like dark robes.
Are they somewhat startled by me?
They are absolutely startled by you.
And they're,
Who's
these are
the
not...
sacrificial person?
You can see that there are 2 people that are in sort of the center of the circle that appear to be unconscious. One of them is a small elf man, and the other one appears to be cruddy.
Okay. And, yeah.
And before you have a chance to do much of anything, all of a sudden, a grappling hook comes flying over the wall and catches your pants. And you don't really have a chance to go anywhere before you start getting pulled up. And you're now sort of hanging by your pants.
Okay.
And you watch as you are basically acting as the weight down.
Oh my gosh.
As Shush and Thrain
the
and
3 of us.
and Nicholas all come ziplining in from the top of the thing.
Presumably land on me.
Or at least right by you. Everybody else roll me
Three
dexterity saving
Stooges.
throws as well.
Me too, or no?
No, you are all right, girl.
11.
15.
Awesome. Nicholas got an 18, so he's like in
He's
good
the
shape.
only...
I will say 15 is good enough, especially because you have the rope. You can kind of zip line a little bit and then
Yeah.
kind of like slide down the rope a little bit. 11, I'm just going to say you burn your hands a little bit, Thrain. You take 1 damage kind of sliding down the rope. But otherwise, all of you land on your feet. And you see a similar sight.
Now, what
to
am I, like,
Grollo
land...
see.
Like, I land, because now the weight is off.
Yeah,
and,
once
and
they
I land back down.
they sort of zip down and you're like pulled up, and then once they like get across the wall, then you're like lowered back down
Okay.
as they like slide down.
And
the
I'm
rest of the-
basically
the
seeing
rest of the-
red because I've just seen Cruddy.
Yeah, you'd probably rage right now.
I'm like,
I just want to take a moment. I feel like we're superheroes. We're all wearing our uniforms. We've all
Right.
got our ponchos on.
Oh,
Shush
and
is
I'm
like
imagining-
super enjoying this.
And I'm imagining we did the 3-point landing.
Yeah.
I just love the superhero landing.
Fist on the ground.
I forgot to mention this before. While you were traveling through all the crowds, because all of you are wearing ponchos, everybody thought you were a band.
Yeah.
So you had no problem sort of navigating through these heavy crowds because they thought you were trying to make it to a stage to do whatever performance it was that you were doing. So a lot of people kind of cleared out of
We're
your way.
about
and
to
were-
perform.
And we're like there were some people who were like, oh, who are they? What band are they?
It's
We're-
the Beatles.
We're a drumming band, and we use evil people as our drums.
I want to find someone
Let's
to
rock out.
enchant our ponchos to make them constantly billow, like on command.
So, I mean, I figure right now, I was already like in the moment that I was startling them, and I was startled by what happened. But as soon as I saw Cruddy, I started seeing red. But now something lifted me, and then something I landed back on the floor. So now I'm like beyond upset.
Yeah, perfect.
I imagine you got like a little bit of momentum as you like land
Right,
on the
right.
You take
roll
off.
forward.
So I'm gonna have everybody roll initiative as you are entering into combat.
What do I use again?
It's at the very top, I think, center of your sheet.
It's right there, +2.
Oh, +2.
9.
8.
21.
Jeez. And
Is initiative just your deck save?
yeah, it's just your dex. There are other things that can modify initiative. They're like feats and stuff like that
Yeah.
that can add to it.
9.
All right, well, that's going to put Shush first. And amazingly, Nicholas rolled terrible. He got a 4. So Shush, then Thrain, then Grollo.
Well, which
Actually-
makes sense because I'm on the floor, and even though I'm super angry, I'm like, I need to get up. And
So,
Yeah,
so let's take a break, and when we get back, we'll continue with this adventure.
Perfect.
All right, welcome back from the break. If you haven't become a patron of the podcast, do so now. Go to patreon.com, become a patron of the podcast. You get access to all of our best episodes, if you will. And if you're having trouble accessing the premium feed, email us at contact@psychologyinseattle.com. We can help you with that. All right, so last place we left off, Berto had a grappling hook up his butt, and the three of us just landed on top of him.
that's roughly what happened.
That is roughly what happened. So I would say, Grollo, you normally would have your rage and your danger sense would have kicked in to help give you the opportunity to capitalize on the surprise happening to all these guys. But the grappling hook and everybody else sort of showing up took away a little of that opportunity for you. You can see the people in robes who are sort of looking around at each other trying to figure out what exactly is going on and what they're supposed to do. But one of the ones with the ceremonial sword clearly kind of takes lead and points it at all of you and says, intruders. Something else that all of you noticed the instant that you came into the courtyard, you don't hear any of the sounds coming from outside. You don't hear any of the noises from the music or the concert or any of the crowds, nothing. All you hear are the sounds coming from within the courtyard. The person points and says intruders, but does not get a chance to act any faster than you do, Shush. You are definitely the fastest here.
Does it look like a sacrifice is about to happen?
Yes.
Are they like daggered down? This is the time.
They were like raising. They're using. I'm sorry, it wasn't a sword. It was a spear. They're raising a spear.
One person?
It is one person sort of standing in the middle, getting ready to do the spear. And it looks like Cruddy and the other sacrifice are both unconscious, so they wouldn't have struggled in any kind of way. And so the person who's sort of raising the spear at it, like up in the air, and they were like chanting and things. They were saying some stuff in Orcish as they were chanting. You kind of interrupted enough of it, the chanting. You didn't really catch much of what they were saying.
I am going to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter on the one who's about to make the sacrifice.
Cool, the spear guy.
Spear guy, yes.
Cool.
Can he attack when he's doing that?
He cannot. He cannot attack. He cannot. I don't think he can move even. What's your save DC?
13.
He fails that just barely. It's a
Wisdom.
wisdom. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, he fails that just barely.
Nice.
So he bursts into laughter. What is your Tasha City?
So I'm playing my instrument.
Yeah.
I'm playing my violin, and I'm playing like a really sort of silly, like clownish sort of.
He cracks out in a horrifying laughter as he sort of cripples over. But it was after he gave the command to stop you as intruders.
I'm just trying to get him to stop.
Yes, it definitely. He leans over and he can't help but clutch his stomach as he's laughing so hard at your hilarious clown song.
Silly clown song.
And then Shush, you're probably you're a good distance away from them. You're probably 30, 40 feet from them. So do you want to get any closer to them, or you still want to stay where you are?
I'm gonna stay where I am.
Okay, cool.
I might actually. Can I? So how many of them are there? Sorry,
There are 8.
8 of them. They look like they're all kind of coming towards us.
Yeah, and they're all now kind of turning and headed in your
So I think I'm gonna sort of. I'm gonna. Ideally, if they all kind of rush towards Grollo, I'm gonna try to circle around them.
Okay, so you're
I
gonna
wanna kind of back up a little
sort of start
bit. Yeah.
sneaking around the side,
To
or
the side, yeah.
Okay,
back
cool.
up to the right. Back up to the right.
Sweet. You start kind of heading off in that direction with the expectation they're going to charge at Grollo.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like he's about to aggro a lot of.
Grollo, you're looking pretty angry.
Are the victims tied up?
Yes, they are tied up and unconscious.
Yeah.
Thrain, that makes it your turn.
Oh my. You got a lower initiative than me?
I did.
Oh.
Because I'm on the floor still, like...
I do my channel divinity to heal both of them 7 hit points.
Oh, okay. The two...
The victims?
The victims. All right. They definitely have... It looks like they have some, like, blows to the head.
Yeah.
That may have knocked them unconscious. I'll say that's enough to bring them back into consciousness.
And then I move towards them.
Awesome.
With my shield up, and ready to
you can hear Cruddy who starts speaking up and saying, "What's going on? Who are you? Is this about the pies or the goat? I was gonna pay for that goat." And she sort of starts.
I say, Grollo is here to save you.
Who?
Grollo.
Who's that?
This guy. And I go, Grollo. I go, remember, silent type.
Sadly, I'm not hearing much that anyone is saying at this point.
That's
That makes
fair.
this my turn, right?
That makes it Grollo's turn.
All right, so there's this cinematic moment where Grollo's head is kind of like down because he was just like on the ground, and he's like, and then all his muscles have like flexed, and then his head lifts up, and you can almost see literal flames in his eyes as he enters a rage.
Awesome.
And so what's coming at him? Because he's like, he grabs his maul and he's like ready to destroy.
Awesome. He's ready to just start.
Yeah.
There's like a charge thing, right?
Not really. He can kind of like run forward and
Yeah,
and
so I
make an
run
attack.
forward
Yeah.
because it sounds like these guys were coming at me.
Yes, they are kind of.
So I just like,
yeah, awesome.
sorry.
No, that's good. I like it.
So
There's no people that live beneath us.
I'll do 2 things. First, I'll point out you never actually took the grappling hook out of your pants. But I'm not going to hold you to that as like hilarious as that.
He rips his pants off.
I think you're going to like rip a big hole in your pants.
Oh, it would have been better. It's
just your whole pants.
When I point like, we're here to save you, and then his
like,
pants get
it's
ripped
like
off.
track pants. They just go flying.
This guy,
flying
and then
off. And you're in a rage, so you don't
don't
notice
care.
it
I
at
don't
all.
even
Wearing
know.
like boxer shorts with hearts on them.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, I
Just keep
so
the
hope that
cartoon
Grollo
going.
has heart back
I
boxer
will play
shorts.
yakety sax on my.
pantsless orc runs into battle.
And then I'm gonna have you make an attack roll on
Okay.
one of these, the first hooded figure to come charging at you.
All right, so raging. So I'm gonna attack. Advantage. What do I do here?
So raging will give you a bonus to your
Plus 2
damage,
bonus
and if you want
Okay.
to, you can make this a reckless attack. Which
No.
Okay,
Because I'm focused.
you're focused.
Focused,
I like it.
Daniel-san. Okay, so that's a 15, and what do I add here? Plus 5?
Yeah,
Yeah, so 20.
20 will definitely hit.
Yeah.
So roll your damage.
And
So
so,
roll-
now I do a damage plus the 2 bonus. Okay. And so my damage is 2d6 plus 3, and then plus 2. Okay. 6, wait. Plus 9, plus 3, plus 5. Okay, so 14.
Awesome. 14 damage is a great attack.
Where do you hit him?
Yeah, give me a description.
Oh, yeah. So
I think you dropped this guy in
So
one
I
hit.
sprang into action, my maul back. You know, Grollo, unless he sometimes trips, he can be quite an impressive sight when he's attacking. And so one hand is thrust forward, palm extended, sort of like to aim his hit. And his legs are in full, like, stretch, and then his other hand is all the way back holding his maul, and then it just comes down on the skull of this
He's not poor.
of this ignominious anyways, it just comes down on the skull of this dude.
Awesome. He appeared to be pulling out like a dagger or something from under his cloak, and you just hit him right on the head, and he just collapses.
He
to the
just
ground.
drops.
There's nothing. The dagger goes skittering across the courtyard as he collapses to the ground.
Okay.
And you can see that the next guy who's sort of coming up behind him like has just like a little bit of pause. As he like sees the sight of Grollo that he is trying to pull out a dagger and attack you with. That makes it I guess Nick's turn. Nick has a similar thought process to Shush, is that he's gonna kind of sneak around. He's gonna take the other side and sneak along upside the wall. Actually, he's gonna try to help out what Thrain was doing, and he's gonna try to sneak past everybody and make it all the way up to the people who are tied up. And try to untie them.
Good old Nicholas.
So you watch him heading up in that direction. He doesn't quite make it all the way up there, but he's like clearly trying to help out with that. That makes it all of their turns. They all come charging forward. Grollo, you're the biggest target for a lot of this.
Right.
So 4 of them come up and
How many were there?
There were 8 in total.
Oh.
1 is incapacitated and
Yeah.
1 is now dead.
Okay.
So there are 6 remaining, but 4 are going to try to attack you, Grollo. What's your armor class?
So it's 14, and it says I have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
It is a good thing that you do. So 3 of the 4 hit you,
Ugh.
and they're just using daggers, but they're like coming up and like really stabbing
Yeah,
at you
yeah,
with these daggers. And I'm going to say one of them sort of dive. They all are diving at you. One of them dives at you and kind of misses. The other ones kind of dive and they're like grabbing onto you. They're not orc sized.
Okay.
These except for the very tall guy who had the spear in the very center, none of the rest of them seem orc sized. And as some of them are grabbing onto you, some of the hoods come off, and you can see some of these are just humans.
Okay.
There's one that's a halfling. The one that missed you was a halfling.
Okay.
And it looks like they're sort of grabbing on, they're stabbing at you, and a bunch of them are shouting like "For Grumsh" as they're stabbing into you. Grollo, you're gonna take that was 15 damage, but you have resistance to that, so you take half that.
Oh, okay. That's what resistance does.
Yes.
Okay.
He has half because he's raging.
Yes, as like a benefit to raging.
Yeah.
And then
So wait. So do I round up or down?
you round
Down, I think.
So
yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 32 left.
And then one of the guys in the back, you can see starts moving his hands in a familiar way, and he is casting magic. And Thrain, he
Not
clearly is a little smarter than everybody else. He targets you, and a bolt comes shooting out at you, which you recognize as the spell Guiding Bolt. And it hits you, and you're gonna take
Priest battle.
Priest battle. You're gonna take 20 damage from that.
I just had that Crossfire theme song really just echo in my head when you said that.
The priest battle.
Oh, the Lord!
And the next attack against you will have advantage as well, as you're sort of glowing.
Well, I'm almost dead.
Brutal.
And then the last guy is laughing hysterically, so he fails his save, and he continues to laugh hysterically. You can see he's like pointing, he's like trying to get people to do stuff, but he can't say anything. He's just keeled over.
He's prone
laughing.
now, right? Too.
Yeah, he's sort of keeled over.
So there were 8. One of them's dead. 3 or 4 of them attacked me.
4 of them attacked.
4
you.
of them attacked me. 1 attacked Thrain. One of them is laughing uncontrollably.
Oh, we're missing one.
Yeah, we're missing.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
For that.
Whoops.
The last one appeared to have disappeared into the shadows. The courtyard is reasonably well lit because it's all a bunch of torches, but it's got kind of like a shady, lots of shadows kind of situation going on. So whether or not you Grollo would have kept track of all the people, or Shush or Thrain. You watch as they sort of take out some daggers, and they like back up carefully, and as they get into the shadows, you can no longer see them.
It's the edge of the illusion or something.
I see.
And that makes it Shush's turn again.
So are they kind of clustered together around?
Yeah, there are 3 that are literally hanging off of Grollo.
And
right
one's
now.
like at my feet or
and one's
something.
like just at Grollo's feet.
Okay. So, and how badly injured is Thrain right now?
Almost dead, but I can heal myself.
Okay. So I'm going. Can I cast 2 spells on the same turn?
If one of them is a cantrip.
Okay. Okay.
So you can use a bonus action one so long as one of the other one is a cantrip.
Gotcha. Okay. So then I will. I'm going to use a bardic inspiration for. I'm playing the violin.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a bardic inspiration to Grollo. So this means on your turn, when you make an attack roll or a save, you can add an extra d6 to that. You have to do that before the game master tells you whether it is successful or not.
Oh,
so you roll it, and then you get to say, well, I'm going to add that d6 to it or not. So you are now inspired by my beautiful song.
What does it sound like?
I changed it from the yakety sax to more like a. It sounds kind of like Muse.
Oh,
It's kind of like a rock anthem. Yeah, it's Knights of Sidonia. I'm playing Knights of Sidonia.
Right.
I have a pretty high performance,
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, Shush is kind of an idiot, but he's actually pretty good.
Actually pretty good with the violin.
So I'm using my bardic inspiration. That's a bonus action, and then I think I'm also, and that is not a spell. So I think I'm also. I've seen. So this guy's laying down. And where are the people who are going to be sacrificed? One of them's awake now?
They're both awake.
They're both awake, but are they tied up?
They are still tied up.
Okay.
And so their hands and their feet are tied, so they can't really get up.
Do I get a sense for how much danger they're in versus how much I want to save these guys?
They don't really seem to be in any terrible danger. I guess the guy who was laughing is still standing next to them
With the spear.
With the spear, and he's still laughing. But everybody else has run away from them.
Okay. So I think I'm going to go get advantage on the attack against the guy who's laying down.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm gonna
You're
go-
like run up and.
I'm just going to go run up and get him with my rapier.
Nice.
Yeah,
Give me
I
an
don't
attack
have
roll
any
with
s-
advantage.
He's the guy who's at my feet.
Yes.
The guy that missed me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea that he's like holding onto your foot as you're like running.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get the laughing guy.
Oh, you're gonna get a laughing
the
guy.
laughing
You
guy.
also have advantage against
Yeah,
him.
he's laying down, so he's prone because he was laughing on the ground.
okay, cool.
So I'm going to go. He's the one who is in most
Oh,
capacity.
okay. So not the guy who's at my feet.
No,
You're getting the
I
laughing guy.
forgot there's more than one
Got
guy
it,
to
got
feet.
it.
So this guy is laughing on the ground, and he's gonna maybe wake up and then stab them
Right.
and
Yeah.
finish the sacrifice. So
Cool,
I'm gonna go
you're
over there.
going after him.
I'm gonna go over there and stab him.
This guy's much bigger than the other guy.
That's why I want to take advantage of the fact that I can get advantage on
Yeah.
this. I'm gonna-
Give me an attack roll with advantage against him.
21 or 14.
With a 21, it'll definitely hit.
Awesome. So that is a D8 plus 2. That is a 7.
Nice. You go up and you sorry.
And he gets to make a save now to see if he wakes up.
When you make attacks against him?
Yeah, he gets to see if he wakes up.
I see. He did succeed his save.
All right.
So
Game on.
He goes nothing.
so give me a description for that. You like come up and you stab him. What does that
Yeah,
look like?
Shush is feeling a little bit conflicted because this is like, battle.
Yeah.
And he's like, being pushed to make a pretty hard choice to like literally stab a guy. But there's stakes involved. So he's like, got this kind of this look of like, gosh, I hope this is worth it. I'm running over here. Like, you guys seem to be taken care of. My other option was to go like help you guys, but you're fine.
You just inspired me.
Yeah.
Right.
They run over there and just like two hands on the rapier, kind of stand over him and apprehensively kind of just push it into his chest.
Like Arya in that pub when she puts
Right.
needle through that guy's neck.
Oh yeah, spoilers once again.
As you do that, it's clear that it hurts him, and he suddenly stops laughing, and his hood falls off of him, and you can tell that this is a full-blooded orc, who you've just stabbed in the chest, and he looks
Daddy!
very angry for the fact that you've done that. But that makes it Thrain's turn.
I cast cure wounds on me, bumped up to a 2nd level spell
Nice.
because I'm gonna be dead soon, and I'm the only one who can heal anyone. So.
I have healing word. That's what I was going to do on you.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I have healing word. It's not great, but it does the trick.
Nice. 13 to me.
Nice. Awesome.
So, and I brace myself for any attacks.
Ooh, Nelly.
Sweet. Okay. So, what do your heals look like? I don't know if you've gotten a chance to describe
what does the healing
how your
look
healing how your healing looks.
How do I heal?
Yeah.
I call upon Moradin's beard to invigorate with strength
Does a light show up around you?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Light.
Glorious.
Glows.
A hammer that you can almost see the visage of a hammer above my head. Fucking.
Well, perfect. As you are smithed back into life.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the person that attacked him, the magician that attacked him, is still sitting there.
Yes,
In
he's still.
flagrante.
I guess
He's a cleric.
It was a cleric, and he's still standing. I guess he's nearby where Shush and,
Okay.
and the guy with the
But
spear
I'm
are.
sitting here with 3 dudes hanging off me and another one on the floor.
Yep.
And they just hurt me.
Oh yeah.
I was already rageful. I feel a frenzy coming on.
Oh, all right.
Frenzy!
Awesome.
So essentially, I'm just going to attack again. I'm like, I guess what I do, because these people are hanging off of me and there's a dude at my floor. So I'm going to do this maneuver where I'm going to try to throw off probably 2, because I grab one, and I'm trying to throw them off of me as hard, but not just like get off me. Like
Right.
I'm trying to throw them as hard as I can, and just get them off me. So like that's my my first move, and then it sounds like I can do a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action.
So I'll let you do. So normally I would say that what you're trying to do to them is an attack.
Sure.
So I'll let you do the 2, and those would be your two attacks. that
Oh,
you're
I
gonna
see.
do
Okay,
this
okay,
for.
fine.
But I'll also let the damage of those of throwing these guys off. So long as you can succeed on your strength save against them, you'll do as much damage as your maul
Okay.
attack. So
Okay, got it,
So
got
we'll make them like significant. You are ripping these guys off of you and hucking them against hard surfaces.
I'm not right. I'm not just hey, get off me. I am literally trying to rip their skins off as I.
Yeah.
All right, so I
it'll be-
roll.
So this will be a strength contest against each of them.
Okay.
So you're going to roll your
Strength mod is
strength.
what, +5?
Your strength saving throw modifier.
Damn it!
Remember, you can add your
gave me these
bardic
dice?
inspiration.
If you want to, you
Okay.
could add your bardic inspiration.
Yes, I definitely want to add my bardic inspiration. What was the deal? A
so
D6.
roll a d6.
Okay.
then
And
you-
I also have a +5 for the strength, right? So that's 8. +5. Okay, 13. That's on one of them then.
So you got a 5 from the die.
5 from the die.
Oh, and then you got an 8.
and a 3 + 5
okay, perfect.
here. So 8
God,
plus
I can't
5,
believe
13.
even with a 3 you're going to succeed on this. Yes.
Thank you.
They're not as strong as you, Grolo.
Okay.
You can totally do that. So roll me the next one, and then we'll do the damage all together.
Same thing?
Yep.
Just roll another. Do I get another D6? Or I'm done with the D6?
You're done with the bardic
You've used it
inspiration.
up.
Please. 17 + 5.
17 + 5 will definitely do it. He got nowhere near that.
Okay.
Okay, now roll me damage. You can do the same damage that you would have normally done with your maul
Got it.
with these.
Okay.
D6
and I
plus-
still have my +2.
So I think
Plus
it's 2d6
5?
2d6 plus 5.
plus
2d6
5, yeah.
plus 5. Okay, 2, 5, 7, plus. Oh yeah, plus 5. So
12.
12.
But it's 2 attacks. So it's 12 against the first guy, and then the
Do the
damage
other
against
roll.
the second
And
guy.
do a second one. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. 2. Okay, 7. Oh, 12. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 12. Yes, yeah. 12.
I will say 12 is enough to finish both of them off.
Dude, how epic
give me-
is that? Okay, so imagine
Give
I'm
me a
sitting
whole
here,
description of
and
this.
I reach up, and like my face is contorted. I haven't noticed I have no pants on. There's a dude actually gripping my leg, looking up, kind of in confusion.
Yeah, so I just want to pause here. If we have any artists,
this is the scene.
Yeah.
This is the scene. You have Cruddy.
and just to be clear, he has a banana hammock on.
We have Cruddy in the sacrifice table, looking at me with a mix of awe and confusion. And you have this dude at my feet looking up at my banana hammock, and 3 dudes on me. And I grab one hand, and essentially like. Pretend I'm doing a pull down maneuver on but it's like, and they just go flying out and splatter against the wall.
One of them hits the wall, and the other one slams into the statue of Grumsh and collapses down at the feet of the statue of Grumsh, flying immediately over Shush's head as Shush is actually in front of you, and then sort of slamming into the statue and crippling to the
That's a
ground.
pretty cool scene.
Do you want to continue? So you still have one more person that's sort of clinging onto you, and another person who's sort of clinging onto your foot. Do you want to continue forward, or do you want to continue to sort of wrestle with those two?
Oh, like what's my movement?
Yeah,
Are you
if
staying
wanna,
or moving?
If you want to stay where you are and take care of them first, on your next round.
Oh,
or
so
if you
what
want to try to
happened-
move forward.
Right. So what happened is in the process of doing as much forward motion as I could, I definitely stepped forward.
Okay.
So I suppose the other dude might be dragging a little further behind, but I'm definitely going to deal with them because I don't have any strategic bone in my body, and I'm just like, these are the assailants.
The targets in front of you. Okay.
Now I might if Thrain was down, that would catch my attention, but he's not down, so.
Nicholas, perfect. That sounds. So you move you're a little bit closer, but you're not all the way
Right.
there. Nicholas comes sneaking out from the shadows, and he comes down. He's right nearby you, Shush, and he kind of looks up at you and he gives you like a thumbs up, and then he goes down and he starts cutting the bindings from the two hostages.
Yay, Nicholas.
And Cruddy at this point is like still spouting out about the goat, and is still like talking about, and this elf guy who's with her hasn't said anything, just looks terrified. And Nicholas leans down and he says, don't you worry, I'll help get you out of here in no time. By the way, all this comes from Grolo, that guy over there. He really appreciates all the lead pies that you made for him.
Wow, such poise from Nicholas. I like it.
And he cuts through the ropes for both the Cruddy and for the elf and their foot ropes, and then Shush, before you have a chance to warn him, you watch as the figure that had disappeared in the shadows comes up behind Nicholas and stabs him in the back.
Can I do a hellish rebuke on him?
Hellish Rebuke is only somebody attacking
Can I
you.
do the other one that I get to do as a reaction?
What is the other one? that
Hold
you
on
get
a
to do?
sec. I'm gonna find it.
This
This is like
I will not.
classic NPC sacrificial scene.
I will not settle.
Wait,
for this.
what is it that's happening?
Nicholas, a thief, an evil thief jumped
Came
out.
out of the shadows to
And is
attack
stabbing
Nicholas.
Cutting words. I get to use one of my bardic inspiration dice and remove it from this guy's attack.
So
on Nicholas.
He's getting 2 attacks because he has 2 daggers.
I can only do it once.
The first one is gonna be a 18 to hit Nicholas, but you can cutting words it, and you might be able to reduce it down.
Nicholas. 2.
I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, I
to-
can't
to
imagine
prevent.
Nicholas's
He doesn't have a
AC.
16 AC. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what, because I really like the imagery of it. You don't catch the first one, but I'll let your 2 apply to the second attack, and that one would have missed with your cutting words.
Not Nicholas.
What do you say? What does your cutting word do?
I say
that-
no, not Nicholas. That's all
and
I
it
can say.
like cuts through the air. You watch as he stabs Nicholas in the back and then he actually goes to slit Nicholas's throat.
No.
And your words sort of throw him off balance, and for lack of a better way to describe it, the words slam into him, and the second dagger in his hand goes flying out of his hand, skittering across the courtyard. Nicholas is still stabbed in the back by this guy.
Literally.
Little did we know Nicholas was level 15. And
This is actually super powerful. He shrugs off the whole thing, and turns around and blows up the guy. No, he takes like a whole lot of damage. You watch as Nicholas sort of collapses to the ground. He's not dead, but he is badly injured.
I don't know.
Wow. Tragic.
I don't
And-
have any more far away healing.
I have healing word. I can get him.
The 2 people then start getting back up to attack you some more, Grollo. Only one of them hits you, but he hits you for 6 damage, which is 3 after your reduction. And then the cleric.
So one hits me for 3 damage.
Yes.
Okay.
And the cleric gets up and he's just going to do. Grollo, you actually seem like the bigger threat now. So he's going to attack you too. Give me a.
This was the dude that first attacked Thrain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a dexterity saving throw.
battle.
Where's my-
It went short.
Yes, he sort of gave up. He was like,
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about that that priest guy.
Oh, wait. 10, and do I get any...
What? It's a save?
This is a save.
You have
This is your
advantage on
dexterity.
strength checks and strength saving throws, but not dexterity.
Not dexterity. This is a dexterity. He's using oh man, what is it? Sacred Flame on you. You take like a burst
Not
of
fire.
It's actually radiant damage.
Oh, okay.
Except that it's not for him. It's necrotic damage for him. You take a burst of like black-looking flames as they hit your chest. You take another 8 damage.
Death
And this one
magic.
is not slashing,
So it doesn't
piercing,
count.
so it
So I get the
doesn't get
full
reduced. So you
enchilada.
take the
How many
full-
hit points do you
the
have
full
left?
21.
Oh my god, you have so many goddamn hit points.
It's
You
a
have
lot of hit points. Lastly, the orc that you stabbed in the chest, Shush, stands up, and it's like it's like that scene in Back to the Future 2 where Griff catches the thing, and he's like stands up next to Marty, and then he like keeps getting taller. Even though he's like at full height, he still like
Yeah.
keeps getting sort of taller
I
next
used
to
my
him.
reaction on
He stands up. You have fully stabbed him in the chest, and he's clearly bleeding and badly injured from it. But he stands up, and he is totally going to attack you with his sword.
if only I had another reaction.
He is going to hit you with his sword.
Remember this, Nick. Could a hellish rebuke to this guy?
He hits you for 12 damage.
Okay, my armor class is 13.
He rolled.
just kidding.
He rolled an
I know.
18. I was pretty certain that
Yeah, I
it wasn't
know.
gonna. It wasn't
You said 12 damage?
12 damage. Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine.
As he sort of pushes you away from him, and you keep your sword along with you, and then he comes down with this. He's got like a the spear that he has is like a ceremonial spear. It's clearly like got like etchings and carvings, but it's still sharp and it's still a spear. And so he like slashes at you with the edge of the spear, and it cuts across your chest.
My poncho?
It does cut into your poncho.
If I was a
Your
barbarian,
poncho
I'd
is
rage right
still
now.
intact,
Oh,
but it
man.
now has a big cut in the middle.
Oh,
of the
no.
poncho.
Man, I'm gonna find
So,
it.
by the way, because remember, there was the dude still hanging from me, and one dude at my feet.
The guy at your feet has like scrambled forward.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that was only one of them hit. So the one who is hanging from you is the one who
Okay, got it,
stabbed
got
you
it.
again. The one at your feet like dove back at your feet and is like
Okay.
grabbing onto your
All
foot,
right,
but
all
is just being dragged along.
Okay,
by
so I
you.
got the magician, the cleric attacked me. The dude hanging from me attacked me.
right.
Okay.
And Rogue Guy already went, so that makes it Shush's turn.
Shush, please make this count.
Oh, God. What am I doing? Are there... So, just spatially, are there bad guys within 15 feet of each other?
Well, so there are the
least the two
two
on
that are
me.
right next to Grollo. And I'll say Grollo has moved forward enough that I think he is within. I think you could get all three of those. You get those two plus the one that you're fighting right now.
With a little thunder wave
the full
action?
orc. With a thunder wave, but you will hit Grollo because one of them's literally the two of them are both hanging on to Grollo.
I think that's probably okay. You mean you're pretty strong?
What does Thunderwave do again?
Thunder wave means everybody has to take a dexterity saving throw,
Okay.
and then you will take a 2d8 thunder damage if you fail it.
And you
By
get
the way-
pushed.
Okay, and by the way,
Yeah.
how do we track time here? Because it says rage ends after 1 minute.
This has
That's
been
10
probably
rounds.
like so.
So 10 turns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is really quick stuff.
Yeah, we're like 3 turns in.
Okay.
A full round is 6 seconds.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is all happening very, very quickly.
So in general, for most combat, my rage will last through that combat session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Nick in that area too?
No, you
Oh,
will not
thank
hit
God.
Nick. Yeah.
Okay.
But you also will not hit the rogue that attacked.
Oh,
him.
I forgot
He's a
about
little further. He's a little.
So
further
you're only
closer
going to
the
hit
statue.
3
So
bad guys?
I guess you could either hit. I can give you the option. You could hit the rogue and the orc, or you could hit the orc and the 2 people attacking Grollo.
I'm gonna
and
hit the
Grollo.
rogue and the big guy. The orc.
Okay, cool.
Because I think you can handle those 2 guys, and then
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have to hit you.
Right.
Cool.
Because
Yeah,
there's
you
a
can,
lot. I'm gonna do it at a
you
higher
can
level.
totally hit the rogue and the
So
big guy.
they-
But was the rogue the same one that initially disappeared into the shadows?
Yes.
Okay.
He sort of disappeared in the shadows and
makes
waited
sense.
for an opportunity to attack
Smart
somebody,
cookie.
and then came back when Nick was
So you're
there.
going to hit the rogue and the big guy.
The rogue and a big guy. Save DC
And
13.
Nicholas?
No, I'm not.
No, you can avoid Nicholas.
I'm casting it at level 2, so it is 3d8. If they fail it.
They both failed their saves.
3. I'm not rolling good. 10 damage.
10 damage is enough to finish off the rogue.
Yeah.
He does not have that
Yeah.
many chance.
You
And
saved the
it's-
NPC from the classic sacrificial scene.
And you definitely pushed the other guy, the orc,
Got him away from me?
out of the way. You pushed him
Nice.
15 feet. Give me a description for the whole thing.
So I just got slashed across the chest, and like my violin's in one hand and the bow is in the other hand, and then I kind of look at him and I'm like very aware of poor Nicholas, the new guy. Right, he's like the Ringo in our group. I've got to save him, and so I quickly have to make a quick assessment about what's going on. Then I just play one sort of like dissonant chord, and then it like raises enough in like it gets higher and higher pitch.
Oh.
And then it like there's like a sudden silence, and then it's like when the beat drops in like a dubstep song. Shocks.
Nice.
Nice.
The shockwave echoes out, and you watch as the rogue hits a very similar spot on the statue that the last guy hit on the statue, and crumples into unconsciousness. And the orc gets pushed backwards, and he kind of braces himself against it and slides on his feet across the cobblestones of the
Cool
courtyard.
scene.
And that makes it Thrain's turn.
Quick question. Can our other NPCs join the fray now that they've been untied?
They can.
Okay.
It turns out neither of them are particularly combat oriented, but I would say that at least Cruddy is the kind of person that would pick up a dagger and defend herself.
Right, or at least a spoon and bang someone over the head with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm. That's a great suggestion. and
Or
I will add
subject
them-
him to her cooking.
I will add them into the initiative.
She
now
has
that
like
they
some
are-
lead pie ingredients.
Yeah.
Rub it in their eyes or something.
Yeah. No.
She just has so much hot pepper juice on her hands. All she has to do is like touch them.
That's pretty great.
Thrain, that makes it your turn.
So I run up to the priest of Grumsh and I say, "By Moradin's bejeweled hammer, you will be smitten." Smitten?
Yeah.
I smite you. And I try.
Smitten means he's going to fall in love with you.
I
You
cast.
will be smitten.
I cast inflict wounds, so I have to do a melee attack
Nice. Okay.
on him, and I get a 17,
Oh, that will definitely hit.
and I do 3d10 damage, and I get 20 damage.
Wow.
Awesome.
Ridiculous.
You drop him right there. He definitely cannot
I
withstand.
can't tell
20
you
damage.
like
That's spectacular.
how much my character like how good he feels right now, like all this built up energy walking around the town with all this grumps bullshit.
Finally getting to finish off some
And he-
stupid Grumsh cleric.
Yeah.
right, and
yeah.
he just hurt you, so you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Thrain rage.
What does your inflict wounds look like? What is the spell effect?
It's radiant, glorious, beautiful. It's not like the human god's beauty, like with wings, but it's definitely white, light, and it builds up in your hand, and I just touch him, just like, here you go. Pow. Feel Moradin's might. I am smitten by you.
Feel my love. Awesome. He crumples to the ground as you inflict a tremendous amount of wounds on him. Grollo, that makes you.
All right. Okay. So when we last left our poor Grollo, he had been hit by magic, which is always confusing to him. So, it's not enough to like slow him down too much, but he certainly like pauses. So he and again, he's not paying so much attention to the whole combat, but that caught his attention because he just got hit with this bolt. So he looks over, he sees what Thrain is doing, and I guess he does a quick assessment that Thrain's got this. So then he goes back to the problem at hand.
You could smash them together like coconuts.
Well, he's actually, he's thinking in this direction. So he's definitely hurt by the dude that just stabbed him. So that guy's going down for sure. But he also just gets this idea of stomping on the other dude's
Nice.
noggin. So he wants to use his two actions are going to be sort of like he's going to use one of the dudes. He's going to do this maneuver where he lifts one leg up. Imagine a pitcher. Okay, he's grabbing the dude that's hanging from him with both hands, and he's gonna simultaneously slam him into the ground onto the other dude, and stomp down with his foot onto
on
the other
both
dude.
of them.
Yes,
It's like a WWE thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whoa! Boom.
Last time you were describing it, you had one hand out and the other hand kind of behind you. Is that this sort of like Heisman Trophy sort of?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you're just going through all the sports. You're
He's
like,
going through all, yeah.
what was it?
We had a little
Bo
dunk
Jackson?
move.
You're like, that.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Bo knows.
Grollo Jackson.
So that's what we're doing.
Okay, here's how we're gonna resolve it. You're gonna do another strength saving throw against this guy who's clinging on to you, and then I'm gonna have you.
And it says you have an advantage on strength saving throws.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. You're totally right. You
That's
should be
part of the
rolling these
range.
with advantage. So you should roll twice and take the higher of the
Twice
two
you take
roll.
the highest. 5.
Probably not that.
Come on! 13.
Plus your
So
bonuses.
18.
18.
Yes, that is definitely enough. So I'm going to let the whole thing resolve with that one check. I want you to roll me your damage.
Right.
And you're going to do double your damage. And this is all going to be like one just massive thing. You're going to do the same damage to both
Okay,
guys.
got it. So 2d6 plus 5.
And you're going to do that twice.
Oh. Yikes.
Okay, 6 plus 5. So 11, 22. Or do I roll again?
No,
No, I roll again.
Roll again.
Yeah,
roll
yeah.
again.
The first roll is always getting low. Oh, nice. So 13. And what would I say?
24.
11? 24.
24. You do 24 damage to each of them as you as you just crush them both under your massive.
I'm thinking
heel.
like when the mountain and with the viper,
Yeah, right.
that kind of skull.
spoilers, Kirk.
Nerds! I hate nerds!
They're both done for, leaving the orc with the spear as the only remaining target. However, you
Wait,
watch.
does Cruddy go?
Nick and Cruddy both get a turn.
Oh, okay.
You watch as Nick, who's still pretty badly injured, you watch as he tries to get himself up and he sort of collapses back down onto his feet. And you watch Cruddy, who comes up and pats him on the shoulder, and then takes the dagger from Nick's hand and runs forward, working to stab at the
Nice.
guy there.
I mean, Grollo is like gonna be quite impressed by
He's
this.
smitten.
He's gonna be smiting.
You do have banana hammocks, so you're.
This is the best time.
Just how excited
Just
is Grollo about
Don't
this?
say
What do I
anything.
roll?
Well, die 4.
But I'm on rage mode. Oh wait, that's like steroids. So it's probably a D1.
That was just thickness.
D2. Very dangerous against short distances.
It is, however, not enough to kill him, and that gives him a turn.
Oh god. Oh no.
He's looking badly injured. She comes up and she
This is the
stabs
orc
him in
dude.
the side. Yeah, this is the orc.
And he's the only one left.
He's the only one left.
Okay.
And she stabs him in the side, and he grunts and he grabs Cruddy. Oh, no. And he says, you were just a sacrifice. And he pulls the dagger out.
Cutting words.
Oh, man. Is that your last cutting words? Is that the last one you
It's my
can
last
do?
one.
Exciting.
All right, yo, give me your cutting words.
Oh, it's only a 1.
He rolled pretty low.
Oh, I think my only thing is no cruddy.
but it's in stereo.
It's in stereo.
Because you hear, I mean, not that my magic doesn't do anything, but you hear the sound in stereo because I'm also, no, cruddy!
I'll say it's enough that he realizes his position, and rather than attacking Cruddy, he turns her around and he holds the dagger at her throat.
Oh.
And he looks over all of you, and he says, "If she's that important to you," and that will make it Shush's turn. Now, Shush, you are close enough to him. This all happened really fast. You do not know whether or not if you can get an attack in, if he would be fast enough to get the dagger strike.
Okay.
This is severely difficult now.
This is tough. I think the only thing I can do is Tasha's hideous laughter.
Okay. All right.
Because that'll get him. He'll drop his thing.
He would drop the thing.
So it's a wisdom saving throw of 13.
He rolled a natural 20.
Not that funny this time.
What does he say? What happens?
What do you do? Is it the same?
Yeah, it's
the same like
it's,
clown.
yeah, it's sort of like a clown song.
He
No, it's hamster dance.
It's the hamster dance. Yeah. He grimaces and he says, "Not as funny as the first time."
I got to dig deeper into the repertoire.
But it still makes it Thrain's turn.
I say, by Moradin's hand, you will drop that knife, and I command him.
Command. I love the use of command. It's a wisdom saving throw, I think.
Yes.
He failed his wisdom saving throw. He drops the knife to the ground. But that is your action.
Yep.
Grolo.
Okay. This is really tricky.
He no longer has a knife. He's still sort of holding.
Right.
Cuddy,
This is really tricky
She's
because
a sturdy woman.
She is a sturdy woman.
Right.
She could handle it.
Right. Well, so I'm kind of thinking, and not much, right? Because it's Grollo, but at the same time, he just yelled, "No, Cruddy!" And then he saw a couple of blurred actions, and then he saw the knife drop.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I was making my way towards them, and then I guess what I do is, he's taller than her, right? Mm-hmm. I just basically maul, or I guess I use my. Yeah, no, I think I throw my maul at his head.
Nice.
Essentially, because
love it.
I don't have time, so I just again, Heisman. But no, now it's basketball time.
No, javelin.
Yeah.
Or javelin throw.
Yeah.
So I'm and then just, I yell "Not my leap pie, woman!" And I just throw them all.
Give me an attack roll with your maul. And you can use the maul bonus. You're just throwing it.
Oh, wait, what am I doing? Oh, yes, I'm attacking, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
+5, I
10
think.
plus 5.
15, that's pretty
15.
good.
15 is enough to hit. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me damage.
All right.
I'm pretty sure you're going to be fine. But it's better to have the damage.
Roll a low first.
In that case, it was low both.
+5, 7.
That's plenty. That's totally
'cause he was
plenty. He was badly hurt already.
Oh, good.
You take him out. Give me a
All
finish
right.
the description for what.
Okay,
this looks
so
like.
the maul flies out of my hands as my, scream goes out, and everything goes in slow motion. Everyone's watching the thing go across the screen at the screen, and essentially, you see what's her name, Cruddy. She kind of her eyes kind of follow the thing as it whizzes past her head. And essentially, have you ever seen, Moses part the Red Sea? It's like we were giving this guy a new haircut. The maul just kind of splatters right through, and it kind of hits through.
through his
It makes
head.
a little bit of a path.
That's
And then
kinda
your momentum
gruesome.
carries you as Cruddy is falling and you catch her.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
yes, totally.
Absolutely.
Chicka. And then the hand goes down and I'm like, I've got you.
I want to yell out something as you do that. Remember not to say anything.
Strong silent type.
Oh my gosh. I actually, what I say is, I'll cook for you now.
There you go.
That's perfect.
She's like, I don't remember who you are.
I serve a lot of people.
I still don't know who you are, and I cook for myself. Thank you very much.
as you catch Cruddy as she's sort of pulled backwards by him while he's being creamed by the maul. You run up and you catch her and you shout, "I'll cook for you." Yeah. And there's a great moment where you're holding her and she's having sort of halfway fallen over. And she looks up at you and she says, "Your breath smells like burnt lead pie."
Such a Curdy thing to say.
That's the nicest thing she said to you.
That
so
is
far.
the nicest thing she said. Cruddy, sorry. I called her Curdy. Cruddy. I can't remember the own name that Cruddy said to me. So later, many years later, this will still be I remember that time.
Yeah.
Creddy told me how beautiful my breath smelled.
And I think with that, I think that's where we're going to end it for the session. I think that's a good place to
That was epic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
nice.
great. That was an awesome combat, guys.
I got a little worried at first because
Yeah.
I didn't know it was 8 people.
Yeah.
So, I charged in and I'm like, so far our battles have been pretty overwhelming we've been overwhelming to our foes, except for the one with the pirates. That was a little tricky. But this time, I got a little worried.
Yeah, there was definitely these guys hit a lot some
And
of
I
the
thought
other
Nick
battles.
was a goner.
I thought Nick was a goner.
Yeah, it was a classic NPC sacrifice scene.
Oh yeah. I will say if you had not cutting words
think it
the
would've
second
been
attack, it absolutely would have done. It would have at least knocked him unconscious. He would have needed some serious healing to take care of that.
Was there a thing at the end you wanted to do? I thought there was a thing.
Question.
So the only thing I wanted to do a little bit of a checkout at the end, as we often do those in our groups. So the checkout for today. So the one that I really like doing the most is a spotlight that you have for somebody else.
Right.
And that might be kind of fun to do. I think that was fun on the last episode
Yeah.
too. So let's do a spotlight, something somebody else did that enhanced the game for you or improved the game experience in today's session specifically.
Well, I'm going to say everybody because I can't really single anyone out. That was fucking fun.
That was a really great time.
I could feel the energy in the room. Like people were, I was into it. I could see everyone. I could feel everyone else was into it. The storytelling was great. The improv because like when you begin a encounter like that, you have no idea, Adam Johns, that how things are going to go. It's like, well, I'm going to roll these dice and we'll see what happens. And the cinematic improv nature and the decisions that you made for the bad guys seemed credible, but also lent themselves to more cinematic experiences and more heroism for people to step forward and feel good about, what they were doing. But also, Adam Davis with your different songs, that was pretty great. And the, I feel like my character's rubbing off and you're trying to save people's lives,
Yeah, I'm giving up on the music festival.
That's huge.
Literally a music festival. We just talked about this in the check-in question. Like, this is open stage.
It's a character growth.
What would Thrain do?
Right.
Oh, what would Thrain do?
It's an arc that you're experiencing.
Now I kind of regret not giving a little opportunity for that too.
Right.
To
Like
there was an empty stage right here. Or
Maybe
whatever,
your
like
character
ready
goes
to
through
go.
some life choices, and maybe you make better decisions. And then maybe
She was definitely like feeling that.
Yeah,
So that's my spotlight.
Nice.
That's great.
I mean, I was gonna say first of all, Thrain, you the way you described both your healing and your attack, you really got into it. I kind of visualized it, and I could sense sort of a joy of like you were like, yeah, it's so radiant. It's not human beauty, it's dwarf beauty. It's like I really saw it. I loved it. And then and I'm really digging the music. it's getting great. I also was gonna give a shout out to Nick, our NPC Nick, because that was pretty brave and ballsy to like just sneak in there and try to save the two, because I think he's had some character growth as well, because I could have certainly envisioned him either hiding in the shadows or maybe even bolting in the first couple of instances. So
I feel like similarly you guys are kind of rubbing off on Nick, and I think like I really like the idea of Nick's character progression being that like being around you is what is improving him as a person, and like seeing you be heroes is what's like
Makes me
encouraging
want to
him
be a better man.
You're right. Exactly. Nick is checking it.
No, I'm
perfect.
Yeah. I like, so oftentimes in combat, it's like hard to keep the story. Sometimes like the character movement. Sometimes the combat is like, well, I guess on my turn, like I guess I hit the bad guy. That's oftentimes what happens in combat. But like I really appreciated how both Thrain and Grollo, both Humberto and Kirk were like, what would my character do? Like, here's how I want to describe it, keeping the cinema alive in it. So there was like WWE sort of like thunder slams going on, and like the description of the magic. So it was more than just like to hit, roll damage, So I thought that was like great that we all stayed like in character, but I think it was fantastic.
Well, you were saying earlier, Kirk, how this is kind of like video games, but so much more. And I think this is one of the aspects that really appeals to me about it, is that so often in a video game, you kind of want to take a certain action that the system doesn't necessarily allow, even in open world games, really, because so this is the great part, and you may fail, and that actually might add hilariousness to the thing, but you can describe these cinematic moments, and it's fun. It's fun to imagine like and like you said, picturing, well, what would this character try to do, whether he succeeds or not. It's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to echo the kind of the same highlight specifically for all of you as players, that it's not always easy as the player to want to take creative choices or take the choices that your character might make. And as much as I can as a DM, I want to encourage you always to make creative or cinematic or epic choices, even if they aren't necessarily the most strategic choice, or even if they aren't necessarily the most like appropriate choice, or the choice your character would make in that situation. And so, like, I really appreciate when you make choices for your characters to say, like, I want to do this thing both maybe because it would look really cool, or I like the imagery of it, or I want to do this because it is an in-character thing for me to do in this moment. And I appreciate those a lot. I want to reward those as much as I can.
Something interesting from behind the screen is, if we have any listeners who are like really familiar with the rules of Dungeons and Dragons, you will be aware that Adam was changing and modifying a lot of the things as it was going. And that's my spotlight to you, Adam, was like, you kept the action going and the sort of like engagement from us, because you were selectively like, Grollo is not an unarmed combatant, right?
Right.
Like that is not like a thing that on the character sheet it says you can do.
Right.
But like, if Adam had said like, well, you can't do that, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll hit him with my maul.
Right. Like rule lawyers out there will just be going crazy because so many things that you did with your character were like completely against the rules.
Right.
But like, it doesn't break the game for you to be able to do that when you're frenzying and you have people hanging on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, ultimately, you could have just as easily like made a maul attack against each of those people, and it wouldn't have made mechanically any difference to our game. But flavor, the flavor in your description and your creativity in that.
And what I saw you doing was you still tried to keep the rails, because, for example, I was thinking, okay, well, with one move I'm going to pull two dudes off, and with the other move, and you're like, well, no, that's actually two moves. But you didn't say, well, no, you got to use your maul, which I guess is technically by the book, but then it's less fun.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And like throwing a maul is a different type of roll that you wouldn't be as good at. But like, who cares about that stuff? Because you throwing your maul like over everybody's head in slow motion with like I imagine there's like soft music playing as well. Watch the maul fly in slow motion.
And I think the balance is like, like, for example, I do find that because there's part of my personality in the character, I tend to make decisions that I think the character would make that in some ways I wouldn't make, but that I would want to make. Right. So, for example, we were at the roof and you're talking about like, well, maybe we should jump, and I'm already jumping, right? Well, in reality, like I tend to be a careful person when it comes to stuff like that. So I am, what do you call it, impulsive in many ways in my life. But when it comes to like jumping off of a balcony, I wouldn't really be impulsive. But I want my character to be, because that's what he would do.
Right.
But then I don't know, am I going to land break my foot? I don't know, right? And so I think that with the great freedom comes great potential repercussions, which is great.
Right. Yeah. And it's fun. The technique I actually use there, for people who are listening, Grollo failed the save, the athletics check to jump the gap, and I could have just had him like not succeed, and not fall into the courtyard and stuff like that. But there was no fun to that. Right. So if you didn't succeed, you would have just fallen the gap, and then you would have walked your way back up and tried again. Right. But that's not interesting. So the technique that we used is called failing forward. It's where you failed to do the thing you were trying to do, but you still succeeded in moving forward in the plot.
Which makes for better movies and books and stuff. Yeah.
So then a goofy, sort of a yes, but you succeeded at it, but this other thing happened while you were doing it. So where I can, I want to try to use those kinds of techniques.
Another peek behind the curtain. I think this would benefit people out there who are wanting and maybe doing this sort of thing, how to masterfully DM for people during combat, particularly. I'm curious, and you don't have to answer this because maybe you don't want to peek behind the screen, but
You want to lift the kimono that far.
but would say he fails his attack roll on the mall. A number. You give us a number of chance to save Cruddy. A number of things go wrong. We just have a number of critical fails.
One.
Yeah.
Would you have eventually killed Cruddy?
I think if it had gone poorly enough, maybe. But I think it would have had to have gone really, really poorly. And the biggest thing is I never want the dice to be the determinant to the plot outcome. So Cruddy may become a more important and involved character within our plot outline. And so I wouldn't want it to be like you just rolled poorly and failed to save Cruddy for that.
If we rolled really, really poorly,
even if you rolled really, really poorly.
Okay.
But if you had made decisions that then resulted in Cruddy's death, that might be a different story.
That makes sense.
And that could be in combination with rolling poorly. But if you'd done something like rather than immediately attacking the guy with the spear, like maybe he continues the sacrifice ritual because you were like, nah, we're just gonna finish off these little piddly guys first.
But if we're trying to save Cruddy,
but because you're like clearly working in that direction,
I see.
I would let the roles be a part of the interesting storytelling, but the plot be dictated by your decisions rather than
interesting.
your
Let me
roles.
ask another question along these lines. Were you planning on killing Nicholas and Shush's sudden empathy in the moment or worry? Did it influence your decision, or what were you thinking in that moment?
It's a super good question. I wanted you all to think that I wanted to kill Nicholas.
Oh.
If you had killed Nicholas, Shush would be very, very committed to ending this whole Groomsh thing. Right now, Shush's main goal is to hang out with these guys, and really is following Thrain's kind of passion behind this whole thing. But if you had killed Nicholas, and Nicholas being attacked in that way, Shush is pretty upset about.
Right.
But if Nick had died, Shush would be like, all right, we're gonna kill Groomsh himself.
This is it.
And that is actually a technique we've used in groups quite a bit. This is a great way if you have a group that is not working together or is not all on board with each other,
or even a character who's lacking a
some
commitment
motivation.
to the overarching plot.
You make him care, and then you kill an NPC.
And you make an NPC that everybody loves, and then you kill them,
Or kidnap them,
or have them
That works,
mortally
though.
wounded.
There's carbonite, the whole thing.
But it basically sometimes you can't bring everybody together with hey, you're going to save the world. Sometimes what you need is a personal connection to it. And taking an NPC that they love, even if they've just met them, and going that NPC that you love that you just met, well, now they're dead because the big bad guy did it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they're motivated to really do that.
That's great.
Nicholas wasn't going to die here, but Nicholas needed a punishment for trying to be a hero.
Oh.
In his character arc, he made the decision to say, I have the chance to leave. And then he decided to stick around because he wanted to be a hero like all of you.
Yeah, all along we never knew this whole adventure is just about Nicholas's
just
character
Nicholas's
arc.
He's like
journey.
Bean. He's gonna have his own side.
He's the main character. You guys are all the side characters.
He gets his own.
Story.
He gets his own spin-off series after Ender's Game.
Yeah.
Bean, has a series.
Bean's
right?
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he looks at me at the end and says, "No, Grollo, I am your father."
It'll be an epic ending. So he wasn't gonna die, but he needed something to remind him why it's hard to be a hero.
Yeah, it's
With
interesting
great power
how
comes
the
great
characters, or the part of me that's playing the character cares about the part of you that's playing your character that cares about
Right.
Nicholas and Cruddy and all these people, and how that just develops over time. It's a really, if you're listening out there and you don't feel this, which I guess email us, let us know if you feel it. Are you becoming
it'd be really
attached
interesting.
to the characters?
Right.
Because this is the magic of Dungeons and Dragons to me that I noticed when I was in the 5th grade, the very first time I played this, which is that as a player, you feel really invested in a way that a video game or really any other experience doesn't really provide. Even like a play, like I did some terrible acting when I was a kid, and you have to follow the lines. You know, you kind of care about the character, but you don't have choices. You don't have it doesn't have a life. And this pretend, when I was a kid, before I discovered Dungeons and Dragons, what we would do is we would play war, and we would basically do live action role playing in our neighborhood. But I would sort of organize these grand stories. You know, it's like, okay, Corporal Johnson is down. You got to go. He needs a medic. And so Steve, you're the medic. Go over there. And then, okay, I'll cover you. You know, it was all about covering you in the 70s. Cover me.
Cover me.
And that story, that plays out of just I remember those stories, just like I remember particular moments in Dungeons and Dragons, just like I'll remember this one. I bet you anything, if I remember anything, I'll remember this adventure tonight, because so many things came together, and the cinema of everything, and the way it felt, and the payoff of all the role playing up until this point, right, was it just will resonate. So, I mean, do you have certain epic stories from your past games that are burnt in your brain?
So I mean, I have one. I wasn't a kid. I was in college. And I think I told this one before, but I rolled a character that was this, and it wasn't actually Dungeons and Dragons. It was a different system. I can't remember what it was, because it was my friend Eric was the DM and stuff. But it was a super ugly dwarf creature thing, who I maxed out all the strength and the. So it's sort of like Grollo, but even
short Grollo,
but ugly. Like, and I made it so that he was not only super, like the most ugly you could be, but also the least charismatic you could be. So that every time he approached anyone, they would like scream in horror and run away, right? And I remember how hard it was to role play that. I mean, I was trying to get into the character, but it made interactions that were semi-realistic in the game.
Do you remember like
impossible.
A particular moment?
Yeah, so we were in the woods, and there was this, one of our party members was a female.
So this is 20 years ago you're playing the game?
Yes, yeah, it was 97, 22 years.
Yeah, and you can remember it.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So anyways, so we're in the forest, and there's this female, and the dwarf character, I don't remember the name I gave him, but it was a short name like Worf or something like that. Actually, it was something like that. He was into the female character, but the female character was, to say she was beyond his league is like saying that the Earth is, or that the universe is beyond the league of the Earth, So nothing was going to happen there, but somehow he was still obsessed with her. And then they're getting attacked, and there's some arrows flying, and then he's more focused on trying to say the right thing to her. And so like we had this really like weird interaction where the gal was role playing at being actually physically disgusted by the dwarf while arrows are being shot at them. So I think
I'm seeing a pattern in your role playing experience.
And so like the DM was trying to like keep things like, wait, like let's, because I was very obsessed with role playing how ugly this dwarf was, and it was like not lending itself to like great gameplay, but I was like, I don't know, I was more into the acting thing, I'm like, let's act this out. So that stuck in my mind.
Well, so just to get back to what we were talking before, the DM you were playing that time was not like Adam Johns in that it was more like, well, this is a battle, so let's battle. No?
It's definitely a little bit of that, but also I think like imagine if in our interaction here, every time that we, like, let's say we had jumped into the thing and I was just about making jokes about how dumb Grollo is. Oh. And then you guys started feeling like, well, that's, we get it, but can we like move the plot on? So I think I was a little too obsessed on like how unapproachable and ugly this dwarf is. And that started to become like the theme in every scene. So it was like not good. So that's one memory. I have definitely, like you said, not D&D at all, but creating these massive stories. Like one of the things I used to play with some of my friends that would come over to my house was V the Final Battle. and we would role play it out. Like, so I don't know if you guys
not a
ever
real
watched
game. You just
no, we would, because I
pretend.
had a Stormtrooper's blaster from Star Wars, and that looked kind of like the gun that the V aliens had, and I always liked being either the main dude, of course, or Michael Ironside with the two Uzis. And so we would just play in my hallway, and we'd run, and the aliens would be coming. But we would actually like make up additional stories. We wouldn't just recreate the scenes from the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were like,
I'm really
role-playing.
ugly, and I'm trying to hit on this woman.
Yeah, exactly. I was the Freddy Krueger dude. What's that character's name? The actor, I mean. He was in V: The Final Battle, and he was the one that has sex. He's a reptile, but he has sex with a human, and they have a half baby. And so
There's definitely
seeing
some
some
trends.
common-
but I wasn't. I didn't role play him. I didn't role play him.
You
I
wanted to.
I wanted to. I was always either the main dude, but my favorite character was Michael Ironside because he wore this trench coat and had two Uzis, one on each hand. And it was guns akimbo. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's so 80s. Like two Uzis.
Yeah.
Wasn't Michael Ironside also in Highlander 2? Is that Michael
maybe.
Ironside I'm thinking
I
of?
definitely
He's
have
in
not seen Highlander
Starship
2.
Troopers.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
Who's he in Starship Troopers?
he's the sergeant, the main.
Oh,
think we're
yeah,
thinking of the
yeah,
same-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember there is like a when we've sort of created a gag where I pull on my earlobe. I mean, nobody's can watch us, but that's what I'm doing. It was a signal.
Oh yeah. When I was not realizing that we were supposed to be shutting up,
yeah.
and then you're
So
Rolo this time did react. Well.
I that came from a game that I played years and years ago where I was the face of our group, right? I was the rogue, and I was supposed to get talk my way past this blockade, this road blockade, and we had a wizard. This was when you could prepare spells in 3.5 or whatever, or 3rd or 3.5, and the wizard was casting a fireball in the background and was going to use that if things didn't go well, if I couldn't talk my way through. And I went up there and I rolled my charisma check to see if we could get past the guy, let us through or whatever, and I rolled low. But I got a 7, and the guy was like, "I don't know if I should let you by," and I just pulled on my ear, and blew him up. I guess it's time, guys. And the wizard, the person at the table, knew that it wasn't time for the fireball, but the character couldn't hear the conversation, so he just well, I guess I got to do the fireball. So we exploded this road blockade, and it was so much for the sly. We just went in guns blazing. But that was one of those times where the character, the player was what do you know? He's fine. But the game master was your character doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Your character sees the signal, and you guys are blowing it up.
I love that.
I think one of my most memorable times. So I started playing D&D. I think when I was 10. And one of the most memorable things that we did was we adapted the game. We got bored of the fantasy setting, so we started making other games. We just made them up. And one of the ones that we made was a modern day setting. And the plot line that we were doing was that one of my character was a hacker. And he was in jail for being an elite hacker or something. And all of the other players were military individuals, but they were mercenaries. And so they broke my character out of jail with the expectation that he was going to hack into a bunch of bank accounts and get him a whole bunch of money. But one of the other players at the group, when we asked him what kind of character he wanted to be, he responded by saying he wanted to be a janitor. And everybody else was making these elite military characters and stuff like that, and he was I'm the janitor. And so when they went in to try to break me out of prison and do all this stuff, he was well, where am I going to be in this plan? They were you're a janitor, you're not in the plan. And he got very upset with the fact that he wasn't being included in any of the parts of the game. Oh, no. And so they broke me out of prison. They were driving my character down the road in a van that they had equipped with all the hacking stuff that I needed to get them their money. And then my friend goes, well, I'm there too. And then the dungeon master said, no, you're not. You're a janitor and you weren't any part of any of this plan. And he goes, well, then I show up and I stop you. And I remember the dungeon master describing that he stands in front of the van speeding down the highway at 60 miles an hour and holds out his hand with a mop and shouts, I stop you. And we just ran him over and just kept going. I felt really bad for it, but the phrase I stop you has stuck with me for so long as that one very specific memory.
What
did he do?
He made a new character because we
Yeah.
killed
He
this
was
janitor
crazy.
That's
character.
hilarious.
Was this game play shortly after the movie Hackers came out?
It almost definitely. I
Or
doubt
like-
it was shortly after.
or
it was,
maybe like-
it was in the 90s, so it was definitely
That's
influenced by
hilarious.
the movie Hackers.
What was the movie with Johnny Five?
Oh, that was in the 80s.
That was in the- yeah, that
Short
but, like,
Circuit.
Short Circuit.
I like really wanted to get into computers after I saw
Oh,
that movie.
okay.
I was like,
yeah, Short Circuit.
program.
I think
Yeah.
it might have been. It might have been after the movie. We saw the movie Con Air, and there might have been
Nice.
some influence from that.
You know
I
what's
always, like,
funny
played
is
out movies.
this is bringing back a ton of memories of, like, for example, I was so into computers in the 80s, right? And I carried a little folder with my little floppy disks. And I always, and I always imagined that I would show up to school and there was a little club of us, of three of us, who were into computers, and we all had our, and I would pretend I was like, the concept of a hacker, I didn't have it at the time. Because I don't think I'd seen. Oh, but I think what's it called? War Game.
Oh, yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
War Games had come out. So I think I had this concept in my head that I was like a computer expert, and I had these special programs in my floppy disks that could bring down the government or something like that. So and I was almost role playing with myself, because when I would talk to my friends who were also into computers and also carried little floppy disks, they weren't so interested in role playing this out. But I made like little designs and a name for the thing and all this stuff, and that was super fun. So that was one memory. And then the other one was. So did you guys ever play the Black Cauldron video game when you were kids?
Oh, yeah.
It was like a King's Quest type game where, yeah. Well, my brother had it up here, but I never played it. And one summer he came down, he was visiting. He was 4 years younger than me, but he had memorized the whole thing. So we played it outside. I was the character and he was my dungeon master, and he guided me through the whole game.
Is it like a point and click kind of game?
It
No,
was
it's
a point and click where you do like, you can do things like look and pick up
Like a
acts,
tech- like a
things that.
text-based
But then you
adventure.
also with the mouse move where you want to move. But he actually had memorized the whole game, so he guided me from beginning to end, and I finished Black Cauldron. Years later, like in college, I bought the game, or yeah, that must have been right. Yeah, I could still run on PC. So I bought the game and I was playing it, and I couldn't believe just how much it felt like I had already played this game, because I had visualized it so well, and he did an amazing job. Right, I was 14 at the time. He must have been 11 or 10, 11.
Does he remember that?
Yeah, it's a vivid memory for both of us. It was in my grandma's. You've been to my grandma's. Do you remember how there's a little area of grass and trees, like where the swings are and stuff like that? Those swings didn't used to be there, but that was all grass. We played out there.
That's in Bogota.
Yeah, in Bogota. And it's like that whole memory is like burned in my head.
That's
It's so
spectacular.
awesome.
That's pretty fantastic.
Well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. It's been our 6th installment in the Dungeons and Dragons therapy episodes. Please take care of yourself. And why should people take care of themselves?
Because they deserve it.
Or else...
Or else I'll stomp on their brains and eat their leap pies.